everybody, and welcome to the show from Common Room Radio. I'm Sarah Kate Bazan, and now is the part where I relieve you, the little people, of the burden of your failed and useless lives.
I'm Alistair Stevens, and you're a real nice girl, and I like you a lot, but right now, shut up.
Aw.
I know. I feel bad saying
You
it.
should.
I feel bad saying it.
And I'm Vinton Bain, and you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get nuts!
Oh my God, I wasn't ready. This week we are doing the 1989 Tim Burton's Batman. I don't think it's actually called Tim Burton's Batman. It's not like Tim Burton and Disney's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
but
no, it's Bob Kane's Batman. Did you not see the opening? Batman created by Bob Kane.
By
himself,
Bob
on
Kane,
his own.
By himself.
Definitely no one else.
Nobody
Definitely
else.
not. Guys, it's the 89 Batman. We've been talking about this since the start of Bat Month. I'm very excited for this discussion. I love this movie. It's not a perfect film, but there are things about it that I really enjoy. And the things that I enjoy about this movie are almost comprehensively the things that I did not expect to enjoy about this movie.
I'm so excited to learn what those things are.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as we go on. Sarah, how many times have you seen Batman from 1989?
Once.
Okay. When we sat down to watch this movie, you thought that you had seen it before.
Yes, it turned out that what I was thinking of was Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer and better visuals and better production values and overall a better film, some may argue. And so when I instead got this film, needless to say, I was sorely disappointed. I don't know. I mean, you were there with me, Alistair, while I was watching this film. Would you say that indignation and consternation were my main emotions watching this movie?
I think that's fair. A certain amount of outrage.
Yes.
That almost tipped over into like a comedic level of outrage where you started to love the film but never quite did that.
Yeah.
It was always, you were just on that precipice of, this is terrible and weird.
Yes.
And I'm not engaged by it.
Yeah.
Also, this film is paced like a movie from 1989, which I think is maybe not your preferred kind of pacing.
No, this movie was made in 1989. I was 1 year old. I didn't have the attention span then, and I don't have the attention span now.
It's interesting that you say that this movie was, less visually successful than Batman Returns. I looked this up because I found it fascinating. Batman in 89 had a budget of $35 million. Batman Returns in 1992 had a budget of $80 million. That is why Batman Returns looks like a movie.
Yep.
And Batman occasionally looks like a community theater production.
To be fair, Batman was a risk at the time, and it was a huge success, so they were able to bet a little bit more on it the next time around.
It absolutely was. A budget of $35 million for this film. The opening weekend, it took in excess of $40 million and ultimately took $250 million at the domestic box office alone. This was a huge movie that completely redefined, I think, movie making for a good 4 or 5 years. There were so many movies that came along after this, including the 1990 Dick Tracy, which utterly failed to capitalize on the same potential as Batman. I really like the Dick Tracy movie. I really want to talk about that at some point here in Excelsior, but yeah, it didn't do the same kind of business at all. Vinton, how many times have you seen this movie?
Oh, probably 100 or 2. I watched it a lot growing up. That being said, I have not actually sat down and watched the whole thing in probably over 10 years.
Yeah.
There were definitely things in this movie that I just completely forgot about or just didn't notice, I guess, when I was younger. And so it still does hold up as a pretty good movie to me. Like, I still really enjoy it. But there's mostly certain aspects that hold up. And then there's certain aspects that absolutely do not.
Right, yeah.
I'm in very much the same position as you, Vinton. I've seen this movie lots and lots and lots of times, but probably not for a decade. Probably not for a good long time. I watched Batman Returns just a couple of years ago and thoroughly enjoyed it. So I kind of wish we were talking about that film.
I kind of wish so too. There's still time.
Here we are.
It's always been my favorite of the old Batman movies, and maybe even of all the Batman movies still. Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely defensible position. Yeah. So Batman, none of our favorites, but here we are nonetheless. Hey, Vinton, you want to flip over that VHS for us?
I'm going to flip over this VHS and see what we got here. A psychopathic criminal dressed in preposterously outrageous clothing terrorizes Gotham City, eventually creating another psychopathic criminal dressed in preposterously outrageous clothing who also terrorizes Gotham City. But Batman decides this town is only big enough for one weirdo. The police hardly seem to care, allowing the chemically scarred crazy clown to throw a parade downtown, and they don't even bother showing up to arrest him. Will billionaire rubber fetishist Bruce Wayne be able to defeat this jolly juggalo and his insane clown posse? Find out in Joker Begins, Vulture Origins.
We should probably say right up front, have any of us seen Birdman?
Yes,
Oh, you
Birdman
have?
is absolutely one of the coolest films I've ever seen.
Okay, I bring that up for the listeners at home because it is basically a riff on Michael Keaton's experience playing Batman in this movie and in Batman Returns. I haven't seen it. Sarah, have you seen it?
I've never seen it, no.
Okay, we might need to watch that at some point.
That would be a fun discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, no, yeah, let's do that. So he was
Very
Batman, and then Birdman, and then Vulture Man.
Yes. Vulture Man.
Vulture Man.
The Vulture. It's the modern age of superheroes. We don't call people man anymore.
Oh, okay. So Bruce Wayne is now the Bat.
The Bat, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Or the Batman,
If you will.
if you will.
I won't.
Let's talk about Tim Burton a little bit because from our privileged perspective here in 2017, it's insane that someone got Tim Burton to direct a big budget superhero movie, right?
I mean, from that perspective, it should have been insane too. Because I mean, what had he done at that point? Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yep,
that was about it.
I think that was it. No, we looked this up.
He did
it was
some stuff for Disney.
basically
and then Pee-wee's Big
nothing.
Adventure.
Yeah, Tim Burton had directed Pee-wee's Big Adventure in 1985, Beetlejuice in 1988, which I think is the movie that got him this gig, and then Batman in 1989, Edward Scissorhands in 1990, Batman Returns in 92, Ed Wood in 94.
Ed Wood's a fantastic movie.
Mars
I love that
Attacks in 96.
Oh my God.
I
Sleepy
also love
Hollow
Mars
in 99. Planet of the Apes in 2001. So not a completely consistent record from Mr. Burton.
Yeah, bad
fair to
curve
say.
there.
I just want to know who watched the movie Beetlejuice and said, this would be better with Batman.
Well, do you not watch everything and think this would be better with Batman?
Not after this month, no. Now I think, gosh, I wish we were watching Lego Batman again.
You know, I think that's the principle behind the TV series Gotham.
Oh,
what if
okay.
this, but not Batman? Would that be okay? Could we do that?
What if we took this thing with Batman and put not Batman in it?
What if no Batman, though?
Go on.
What if no Batman,
Oh,
though?
no, that's the whole idea?
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
in.
Yeah.
You are $40 million.
Genius. Speaking of this being a Tim Burton production, I have to say, I'm really glad Johnny Depp's not in this movie. If this had been created a decade later, Johnny Depp would have been Batman.
He would have been all over
Oh,
it. And probably
my God.
Helena Bonham Carter playing, Vicky Vale.
Yeah, Vicky Vale. Yep.
Well, I'm sorry. Like, I
You're
went
just
to
having a
a
moment now,
weird
right?
place. Yeah, no, this is
Okay.
a fantastic, amazing, weird, scary, awful place that my brain is in now. But yeah, Helena Bonham Carter as bring her in as Catwoman, and you've got Johnny Depp as Batman, and what?
Okay. I think we all are united in our hatred of that idea, but here's
Yes.
the thing. Johnny Depp is not a weirder choice for Bruce Wayne / the Batman than Michael Keaton.
Fair. No one thinks of Mr. Mom as being Batman.
Or indeed at all. Yeah.
Fans were not happy with Keaton's casting. There were numerous letters and threats sent in when
Was
he
it
was
just
cast.
like when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman in Batman versus Superman?
No, I think it was a lot worse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because Keaton was known as a comedic actor. He wasn't known for his action or anything like that.
Well, I don't think he was after this movie either.
Well,
Oh.
not necessarily, no. But he was known as playing bird-like.
A lot of avian characters. Do you have a superpowered avian character you would like to
Is
use?
Michael Keaton just literally Harvey Birdman?
Bats aren't avian though, are they? Because they're mammals. So I'm off now in a corner of Wikipedia by myself. I'm just Will actuallying myself over here. You guys should continue with the show.
Yeah, but there was. I realized I had the number here in my notes. There was 50,000 protest letters sent
Holy
to Warner
crap,
Brothers.
that's so many.
And Bob Kane and the people writing the script also heavily questioned this casting. And it turned out pretty good, though. I mean, I like him a lot as Bruce Wayne, especially, and he
I
does
do
some
too.
good Batman. And there's a lot of things with Batman that we have him to thank for, like the low register voice. He decided to do that. That was his decision, and it then pushed that into the animated series, and then just.
Yeah.
From there on, after everyone that voices Batman or plays Batman does a lower register voice for Batman than Bruce Wayne.
There were a few times while we were watching this film, Sarah, that you laughed out loud at something, one of those Batman cliches
Yes.
that appeared on screen. And I was like, no. Because this movie did it first. Like,
Right.
it is ridiculous.
Yes.
But this is the origin of all of those things. And yes, that first, I'm Batman. This
That's
movie
the
is
first.
responsible
And
for that.
That was also Keaton.
Yes.
That was ad-libbed into the script. It was supposed to be I'm the Knight.
What?
Because that was what he says in the comics.
Oh, that's
He
amazing.
ad-libbed I'm Batman, and that became the most famous phrase for Batman
Yep.
to say.
Wow.
Pretty great.
That's really good. No, okay, I like that a lot.
But
yeah.
I do like that it was Keaton that thought his secret identity would be too easy to discover if he had a normal voice. So I'm going to lower the register.
Yeah, that's a really smart
That seems
character
like that was like comic writers did that. No, it was Keaton.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I love Michael Keaton in this role, particularly coming off of Beetlejuice, because I like this weird, manic, unpredictable energy that he has as Bruce Wayne.
What's up with Bruce Wayne?
Bruce Wayne's crazy.
Okay.
Is what's up with Bruce Wayne.
He dresses up as a bat and fights crime. This is what you should expect.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sorry.
This is not okay. This is not the action of a rational man right here.
Also, Keaton studied The Dark Knight Returns for his role, so he had a little bit more of a aged, angry Bruce Wayne.
You were saying prior to our recording that Tim Burton read one Batman comic?
Yeah, I think that the Killing Joke was all that he read. Because he says in the commentary, I read online that he's dyslexic, and that's why in the commentary he goes, I guess it's dyslexia or something. So it doesn't really sound like he's dyslexic. It sounds like he just doesn't like reading comics and came up with an idea because he says, I guess it's that or something. I don't know. But he said he doesn't
Tim
like
Burton
reading
just
comics.
does what he wants,
There
I
was
guess.
a big controversy about this because he went on record to say that he doesn't like comics, he doesn't read comics, and someone had asked him about a Kevin Smith specifically comic, and he said, especially not those written by Kevin Smith. And Kevin Smith fired back, he doesn't read comics? I guess that explains the Batman film.
Oh, snap.
There it is. Yep.
And they had a bit of a feud before making up.
This is, with the exception, of course, of Batman Returns, this is the only kind of comic book property that Tim Burton has ever been involved with, which makes sense.
Yes.
I'm not sure that his is an aesthetic that is particularly, compatible with
Not
superhero
unless you're
storytelling.
doing, perhaps other comics, but certainly not like mainstream superhero stories.
Yeah.
He could probably do something, I don't know, really weird and bizarre and whimsical and fantastical, but
Probably not something that's, cohesive.
But it does work here, and it inspired the whole Batman the Animated Series look, and that
Sure
worked
did.
really well there.
it works much better in the cartoon. I don't know why.
I don't know. I'm going to disagree. Well, I mean, I love the cartoon. Obviously, I love the aesthetic of BTAS, but I love the way that aesthetic is absolutely primed by this movie. This weird retro-futurist Gotham City.
Right.
I love it. I love how anachronistic this movie is. I have no idea what year it's supposed to be. It could be 1940.
Future 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
Future 30s.
Exactly,
The
yes.
2030s.
It all comes around again.
Time is a
The
circle.
loops. We lose all technology. Everyone starts wearing fedoras again.
Well, that's started to happen.
Not
Not in the way
like
that
it
anyone
to.
wants. Yeah.
Fedoras used to be cool.
When Twitter brings about the technological apocalypse and we have to start over.
Pork pies. Wear pork pies instead.
Sure.
Trilbies.
Trilbies. There you go.
Spend the next
Bowler
30
caps?
minutes naming types of hats.
That's it. Wait. No, we already said fedora. What are those taxi driver caps?
Like the boxing hats. The boxers often
Yeah.
wear. I don't know
They
what
usually
they're
have Irish characters wearing them in movies for some reason.
Maybe it's an Irish hat. I don't know. Moving on from there, let's talk about the screenwriters of this film. First, Sam Hamm, known for co-writing the screenplay.
That's a fun name.
It is a fun name. And he also did the story for Batman Returns. Because of this, he was invited to write for DC Comics, where he wrote Batman Blind Justice, which introduced Bruce Wayne's mentor as Henry Ducard. And a draft of this film by Hamm had a large part of Bruce Wayne traveling abroad and training with Ducard, whom Bruce would later discover to be a criminal. And that actually didn't make it in the film. So he, being a writer on Batman Begins, just moved it right over to that movie.
Yep.
It worked really well.
Recycled the idea.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, you couldn't really have included that material in this movie.
No.
I don't know
It
how
would've been
that
weird.
would have.
Nobody would have understood it. Wouldn't have made any sense. Yeah.
He also wrote the screenplay for Monkey Bone, if you remember that. Very weird
Monkey
film.
Bone.
And he also wrote unused drafts for Planet of the Apes and Watchmen adaptations.
Wow. Okay.
Huh.
The other screenwriter here is Warren Scarin. Scarin?
Warren Scorin.
Yep, Warren Scorin. We got Sam Hamm and Warren Scorin.
Sam Hamm, Warren Scorin.
There it is. He was a screenwriter whose notable works include Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Beetlejuice. He was also credited as associate producer for Top Gun, for which he wrote a draft of.
Okay.
He had also written unproduced sequels to The Jewel of the Nile, called The Crimson Eagle, and Beetlejuice, called Beetlejuice in Love.
Wait.
Wait.
There is a draft for a sequel to Beetlejuice that is called Beetlejuice in Love. Carry on with the show. I'm going to do some frantic Googling.
Does it play
cannot
out
find it
exactly
out
like Shakespeare in Love?
Oh, it's the exact same story. You just
Yes,
do a
yes.
Word document,
Yeah.
Word replace
Yep.
of Beetlejuice.
Control F, Control R. Yeah.
Just add the name in there.
Yeah.
Now, I do also want to talk about the composer of this film because that composer is Danny Elfman, and I really love Danny Elfman, so I had to talk a little bit
When we were watching this movie and the music started, I said, "Is that John Williams?" And Alistair goes, "No, it must be the other one." And I was like, "It's not Hans Zimmer, Danny Elfman," because those are the only three composers I know.
Danny Elfman is a numerous award-winning composer, singer, songwriter, and record producer, best known for his work scoring films and television, and for being the lead singer and songwriter of one of my favorite bands, Oingo Boingo.
Sure.
His brother and he created the film The Forbidden Zone, which I really, really enjoy, and I don't think enough people know about. He has scored a ton of things, way too many to list, but some you may recognize are The Simpsons theme and Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and 2. That's really where the third one went wrong, is by ditching it.
Why would you do that? Yeah.
And he most recently took over work on scoring the upcoming Justice League film.
Huh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, fun fact, he is Jack Skellington's singing voice in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I did know that. I did know that. What were we talking about?
Okay, so we're going to move on and talk about the actors a little bit. I have a little bit on a lot of the actors because this is kind of a star-studded cast. There's a lot going on here.
Certainly by the standards of 1989.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Keaton, as we already mentioned, Batman, Birdman, and The Vulture, Golden Globe award-winning actor, producer, and director, known for Night Shift, Mr. Mom, and Beetlejuice, Much Ado About Nothing, Multiplicity.
That's right. He was in Much Ado About
Plays
Nothing.
Dogger in that adaptation of Much Ado. Yeah, I like it.
And of course, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
And he also provided voices for characters in animated films such as Cars, Toy Story 3, and Minions. Keaton has been nominated for and won numerous awards, including a Career Achievement Award from the Hollywood Film Festival.
Wow.
Do we like Michael Keaton in general?
I do. I've always liked him in his comedic roles growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Duplicity once a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed that. Multiplicity. Shoot.
Multiplicity would be only two Michael Keatons.
Right. They had like
there
12.
were multiple Michael
You're
Keatons.
letting him shave his tongue? Don't worry, we took the blade out. Hi,
She only
Steve.
watched it up until the point he was just about to make the third one.
Right,
And
and then I had to leave. Yeah, I don't know. It was,
like, this
why are
movie's
you
not
calling it
Multiplicity,
Multiplicity?
it's
There's just
Duplicity.
two Michael Keatons. This is The Parent Trap starring Michael Keaton.
Beetlejuice was one of my very favorite films growing up, to the point where I think I was in second grade when I went as Beetlejuice for Halloween.
Wow.
I had a Beetlejuice mask that had like little snake things pop up from his head. I had a trigger for it.
That's so precious.
It was pretty fantastic.
Aw.
Beetlejuice is very good and a genuinely creepy movie going back to
Weird,
that. Yes.
weird movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson, of course, here playing the Joker, American actor and filmmaker known for a million films, probably, but most notably to me, The Shining, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Nicholson's 12 Academy Award nominations make him the most nominated male actor in Academy's history.
Wow.
Nicholson is one of 3 male actors to win 3 Academy Awards. Nicholson is one of the only 2 actors to be nominated for an Academy Award for acting in every decade, 1960s to 2000s.
Holy crap.
The other is Michael Caine. So there's
Another Batman connection.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Batman.
That's right. He's won 6 Golden Globes and received the Kennedy Center honor in 2001. In 94, he became one of the youngest actors to be awarded the American Film Institute's Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's awesome.
Okay, so since I asked about Michael Keaton, I'll ask about Jack Nicholson. Do we like him
I
generally?
like Jack Nicholson. Yeah, I think that he does really good work.
He does a really good job in this film.
Yeah, no, I think he's fantastic in this film. I really like what he does. It's a very, Sarah, you have a hesitation there.
It's just, we're watching this movie, and I'm watching some of the things that they are having Jack Nicholson do, and all I can think is, this is an award-winning actor. He is better than this.
Some of those things that I bet you would call out, he decided to do, and they were improv. Because this actually, to this day, is one of his most favorite roles, because he said getting to put on the makeup and just act crazy was the most freeing acting job he ever got. That specifically that crazy weird thing that he does when he's leaving Vicky Vale's house, where he like does a raspberry and does that weird jump dance thing.
Yeah.
That was him. He borrowed that from a friend of his. He calls it the bird dance, I think is what it's called.
Capping that scene with that choice, maybe not the direction I would have gone in. But I genuinely like Jack Nicholson throughout this movie. I think he has a great presence, and he gives us what is basically a unique perspective on the Joker, which I appreciate a great deal. I'm not a huge fan of what we do to the Joker's position, what we do to Jack Napier's position in Batman's personal history in this film. I'm not sure that we needed to do that, but I like the performance very, very much. And there are some moments when, getting an actor of Jack Nicholson's caliber to do this role really pays off. I love his recitation of Grissom's "You are my number one guy." That's such a great moment. That's completely unnecessary.
It's so good.
But I like this movie. I really do.
That's good. No, I'm so glad that you guys do. I'm sorry that I don't. This has been 2 weeks in a row.
We just want you to like it.
I know. I'm sorry.
One day you'll learn to look at a bad movie and just have fun and laugh.
That's not okay. Hang on now.
I feel like you get really angry when movies are bad. You should have had such a fun time in Batman 66, but you were just like, this movie's dumb
right.
and not done well.
In January, we're going to talk a lot about Underworld movies. We're going to talk a lot about
I'm
the
going to make
Resident
it.
Evil
Yeah, I was
movies.
going to say, we are going to watch all the Resident Evil movies.
Then it will be my turn to not find humor in
That's
bad
right.
movies.
And I'm going to have the greatest
Flip the
time.
script.
I will flip the VHSs
I will
for
be
those.
just as guilty of that when that happens.
Excellent.
I guarantee it. We're in the same boats here.
Good.
And then we have Kim Basinger, Sarah's favorite here. Vicky Vale, Academy Award and Golden Globe winning actress, singer, and former fashion model, known for her role in LA Confidential and being the Bond girl in Never Say Never Again.
Oh, Never Say
Now,
Never Again. Good Lord.
She's an award-winning actress.
Yes.
I don't want to throw shade.
Have you
I've never seen LA Confidential, but that's where she
that
wins
was
her
what I was going to
awards.
ask.
Okay,
Have you
yeah,
seen
I've
LA
also never
Confidential?
seen- no, of course I haven't.
We definitely have to watch LA Confidential. It is a brilliant movie, and she is legitimately great in it.
Okay, 'cause
I am the
she
first to
is-
admit she's not good in
She
Batman.
is not good in Batman.
Nope, not good at
Which
all.
is weird because, like, when she first shows up, when she's talking to Elliot Ness or whatever his name is, the newspaper dude.
Yeah, you know, Elliot Ness.
Elliot Ness.
From The Untouchables, yeah.
Yeah, that guy. Like, I was really interested, like, super into her, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be awesome. She's, like, really snarky. She's got all this attitude. She's, like, gonna be standing up for herself and, like, be her own woman. And they just slowly stripped that from her as the movie went on.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that Kim Basinger came up in the 1980s through Never Say Never Again in 83, through 9.5 Weeks in 86. She was known for being hot, and that was it. That was literally her entire role in movies up to and arguably including Batman.
Yeah. She also wasn't the first choice here. They had originally cast Sean Young, if you know who that actress is.
Yeah.
I do know who Sean. How
From
do I?
Blade Runner, Dune,
Yes.
Ace Ventura.
Oh, the trifecta.
Most
yeah.
notably, Ace Ventura.
Blade Runner, Dune, and Ace Ventura.
But she got sick or got injured. I can't remember which one it was, but she couldn't do the role. So then they went with Kim.
You know what? It is partly, I think, a function of the performance. I wouldn't say that this is a strong performance anyway, but the character as written, not great. And there is a weird streak of regressive misogyny right at the heart of this film, which I don't love,
That's
you guys.
some of the stuff I didn't remember from when I was a kid, because that
Right.
stuff's not as clear when you're a kid.
Well, I think it stands out now too, but there are two women in this film. Three if you include the news anchor, I suppose, and all three of them are objectified. In two cases, outright objectified, literally rendered as artifacts, and that's 1989. You guys.
Yep. Moving on, we have Robert Wool playing Alexander Knox, actor, comedian,
Elliot
and
Ness.
writer. Yeah. He is perhaps best known as the creator and star of the television series Arliss.
He's a really charming guy.
Arliss.
He's a really, really charming guy. He's got that kind of Tim Robbins energy, which I kind of appreciate. I like Knox a great deal. I'm weirded out by the fact that he leaves the film for much of the second and third acts.
Especially when the beginning of the film is all about him.
It is basically his story.
Well, originally in the script, there was supposed to be this like big love triangle, and him and Bruce were really supposed to have it out over Vicky, and apparently that just all got cut. So did everything else he had to do in that middle part of the film.
It's kind of there. It is at least implied, but also this movie runs in excess of 2 hours, and there's not enough time for a love triangle with Vicky Vale, you guys.
Then playing Commissioner James Gordon, we have Pat Hingle, who I really only know from these films, though he has been in a ton of other things. He would play Gordon in all three sequels, as well as Batman-themed OnStar TV commercials in the early 2000s.
What?
We probably have to YouTube those after the recording is over.
And then, of course, we have Billy D. Williams playing Harvey Dent. That's Mr. Lando Calrissian, everybody.
He is legitimately fantastic in this film.
I really wish we could have got to see his
Criminally
Two-Face.
underused.
Yes, it is Billy D. Williams and Jack Nicholson that I look at in this film, and as you said, Sarah, I think you're better than this. You're better than this script. You should be doing better work than this. He's so good. I enjoyed every minute that he was on screen.
Yeah. Then we have Michael Gow, who plays Alfred Pennyworth. He plays Alfred in all the sequels as well, known mostly for this role and roles in Hammer horror films like 1958's Dracula, 1962's Phantom of the Opera. He was married for a time to Annick Willis, who played Polly, the Doctor Who companion to the first and second Doctor.
Yes.
So that's a fun
fun.
fact for me. And
He's
other
all
Doctor Who
over
fans.
British television. Yep.
Oh, is he one of
He's
the
one of those guys.
One of
Yes.
those guys.
one of those guys? Yes.
And then, of course, we have the iconic actor Jack Palance playing Carl Grissom, known mostly these days for his career revival in the 80s with films like this one, City Slickers, Young Guns, and lovingly to me, Cops and Robertsons.
Cops and Robertsons.
I love that movie.
He's, I think, great in this, but is one of those actors that is maybe not entirely tonally correct for the film.
Yeah.
He's playing a different kind of character in a different kind of movie, and he is definitely one of the elements of this film that slows the pace right down.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like a contemporary superhero action movie as much as it feels like a
I will say there was, I don't think, any reason for the whole Joker trying to rise to be a crime lord part of the story. Unnecessary. Just let him be a villain.
Yes. I mean, I like the idea because, as we discussed last week, I'm really into noir stories, and I love the idea that Gotham is just riddled with crime.
But it's just another part of the story that isn't really needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's not really fulfilled either.
No, not really. I mean, it gives us a chance to see how insane Jack Napier is. But yes, having him be a lieutenant early in the movie rather than just being the guy accomplishes nothing.
Yeah.
It accomplishes nothing.
Yeah.
If there was a story where Grissom was managing crime in Gotham City, where he was at least a little more judicious in the application of crime upon the streets of Gotham, then we would have some kind of tension there. But there's no hint of that whatsoever. And of course, his relationship with Alicia Hunt. And then, of course, Jack Napier's relationship with Alicia Hunt. It's just, it's not good. It's not good at all. Poor Jerry Hall. For a number of reasons.
Then we have Jerry Hall, as you mentioned, playing Alicia Hunt. She was a model and an actress known mostly for her longtime relationship with Mick Jagger, whom she had 4 children with. She's now married to Rupert Murdoch, and I find that to be an interesting contrast, which is the only reason I bring it up. Going from Mick Jagger to Rupert Murdoch is an interesting transition.
She's had an odd life, Jerry Hall. Yeah.
Then, of course, we have Lieutenant Eckhart, played by William Hootkins, who you might know better as the bearded X-Wing pilot from Star Wars Red 6.
Porkins?
Jack Porkins. Jack Porkins.
Yep. Always a pleasure to see him.
Porkins.
I like what he's doing. Is all of his dialogue in this movie ADR'd? Because it sounds as though he's recorded it after the fact to make it even more gruff and unintelligible.
Maybe.
It doesn't sound like he's in the same
front of a microphone, smoking a pack and just chugging some whiskey.
And then eating the glass. He and Batman need to have a gruff off.
I'm Eckhart. So let's talk about Batman's origins very quickly.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting because it is hinted at in this movie that there's a dark shadow on Bruce Wayne's past, and I didn't really follow it. It seemed a little arcane.
No, well, okay, and again, this is the problem with the pacing, right? Like, it took us forever to, get to this point, and then, okay, so the Joker killed his parents before he was the Joker, and then...
Yeah, let me run through it because I got the secret origin for the movie here.
Well, if we're gonna do it in the same way that the movie does, then we should ask you about his origin story, and then you should show up an hour and a half later to tell us about it because that's very much the relationship between Vicky Vale and Alexander Knox in this movie. Go research an alley, find out what's special about it. Okay,
I really want to do that, but I'll forget to do that. So let's go ahead and do it now. So years before being driven insane and turning into the Joker, a young Jack Napier encountered the Wayne family and the child Bruce Wayne leaving a theater. As his partner in crime attempted to rob the Wayne parents, Jack shot and killed them, leaving Bruce to take the most natural response and dress up as a bat person to fight crime for the rest of his life.
Here's my question. Why were the Waynes walking through Crime Alley?
Because that's where the theater is.
Why is the theater in Crime Alley?
It's really cheap rent.
Is it Crime Alley Theater?
It wasn't called Crime Alley until the Waynes died there, and then everyone knew this is Crime Alley.
Okay.
So this makes a lot of sense. And obviously the simultaneous origin story of the Joker and Batman. Yeah. That's a consistent part of Batman's mythos.
One of the problems here of popular fan theory is that the Joker isn't actually the killer, but that Batman projects this on all of his enemies.
That's really interesting.
Wow. In the comics. Yeah. It should be noted that this origin is specifically for this film. Batman's origins outside the film still remain an untold mystery. All we know for sure is that in the comics, there is no Jack Napier character.
Napier was created specifically for this film.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I could talk about the Joker's history just very quickly. His history in the film was fabricated for the film, as well as the name Jack Napier, as we mentioned, which is a goof on the term jackanapes, the medieval term. Jack Napier,
Not a
there you go.
strong pun, but there it is. Yep.
The comic Joker history is usually more of a mystery, and the histories that have been given can't be fully trusted, actually.
Yeah, we've had several versions of the Joker's origin story, and they're almost always presented with a wink to the audience. This may or may not be true.
Right.
Yep.
That'll be replicated in, of course, the Dark Knight movie with Heath Ledger's Joker. Yes.
The only other character that I want to talk about from the movie in the comics is Vicky Vale, just quickly. Created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. The character debuted in Batman 49 and 1948. Typically depicted as a romantic interest of Bruce Wayne. Not around a ton in modern comics. Like I couldn't tell you many comics that I've read that she's actually in. But I was looking it up, and she has been in a few modern titles. While the actress here has blonde hair, Vicky Vale in the comics has red hair, but according to Bob Kane, she was always supposed to be blonde, and she only became redheaded because of a printing error.
Love it.
Well, as we know, we can definitely trust Bob Kane's version of the creation of Batman
Bob
and
Kane
all the other
has
characters.
Never lied to anyone.
Never misled anyone about the creation of a character.
Oh my goodness. We are salty this week.
As we should be.
Well, yeah, at Bob Kane, always.
Okay.
So, Vinton, you have the list here of some of the actors who were considered for the role of Batman before it went inexplicably to Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Run through the. In fact, okay, you read this list, Vinton. Sarah, I want a one-word response from you on each of these people.
Okay,
We've done this game
All right.
before. This is one of
All
my
right,
favorite games that we
okay.
play in Excelsior.
Okay.
We'll get to
Here
do
we
it
go.
twice this time because I have a list for Joker too.
Oh,
excellent.
good. All
They're
right,
both
yes.
fantastic. Mel Gibson.
What?
He was the Road Warrior at one point.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, again, Mel Gibson brackets 1989.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, all
It's
right,
very
right,
different
yes.
from Mel Gibson brackets 2017. Yes.
Kevin Costner.
Okay, sure.
Charlie Sheen.
Okay, sure.
He's got tiger's blood.
Yes. Now, he didn't then. Did he then? Everyone was on cocaine
Yeah,
in the
he
80s.
almost certainly did that. Yes.
Tom Selleck.
Was he going to have a mustache?
I was
Yeah,
gonna
but
say,
they were going
how
to put face paint over it.
does the cowl hide the mustache? Yeah, they just paint it.
Why
like Joker.
doesn't
It's
Bruce
great.
Wayne just have a mustache?
That would be great if the cowl came low enough
To just-
that it just
yeah.
covered his upper lip. That would
Yeah.
be so good. That's a disguise no one would see through.
Yeah, but then like the Riddler or somebody would find these mustache hairs and be like, "Aha, I've solved it."
So wait, so what you're saying is that Bruce Wayne is utterly hairless? So that, okay, all right.
Well, he's peeling on and off rubber a
And
lot
that's
of
true,
times. So,
yeah.
Yeah. By now,
Exactly.
he's hairless.
My point. All right, here's the one I really want to hear your reaction to. Bill Murray. That was Feather Neck of the
Yeah.
Reunion.
Peter Venkman as Batman.
Oh my God, that was like the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah, a few years later, but yes.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid.
He's the one that I always
Yes.
wait.
No.
He's the one I always confuse with Bill. No, I always confuse Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton. Dennis Quaid.
Was
I
also
confuse
in
with his
Independence
brother
Day.
Randy
Koopa,
Quaid.
He was Koopa in the Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, obviously. Yes.
That's his most notable role, right?
No, Dennis Quaid would have been all right.
Yeah. Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a Bond could
Yeah.
play
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne
absolutely.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
Ray Liotta and Willem Dafoe.
Oh, he's so sharp in his face. Is
Here's
the
the thing
thing.
about
He's
this one.
so Michael Keaton, too. He's got exactly
Yeah.
that kind of manic
Yeah.
energy that I find very uncomfortable
So
to
I
watch.
read that there were rumors that he was supposedly going to be cast as the Joker, and a lot of people, like I saw like trivia facts online that he was almost the Joker, but then I read an article that said that was a complete fabrication. He was actually being cast for Bruce Wayne.
I can see it in
Yeah.
89. Yeah, particularly since we ended up going with Michael Keaton. I think
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe would have been an interesting pick. At
Right.
least he also, by the way, would make an excellent Joker.
He would make an amazing Joker.
It's a little
yeah.
bit on the nose, right?
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
dream casting for the Joker. Well, Willem Dafoe, obviously. Like, let's not mess around here.
It's funny that some of these people were offered the job and turned it down just because it was a comic book movie, and later have voiced regret about doing so.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of that list, who would you have liked to have seen? I mean, is there a name there that stands out for you? Would you really like to see Pierce Brosnan as Bruce Wayne / Batman? Harrison Ford?
I think-
Charlie Sheen, obviously.
I think Harrison Ford would have been a really interesting choice. And I think that's because, I mean, the man looks good in a suit. I think that he could pull off Bruce Wayne very well. The thing is that a lot of these guys, I think, could like absolutely do Bruce Wayne. I don't know if they could do Batman.
I would like to have seen, particularly in 1989, Kevin Costner. I think Kevin Costner could have done a really interesting job.
I'm still interested to see what Bill Murray would have done. Very interested.
Yes. Okay, let's fund this fan film where we get
Oh,
Bill
boy.
Murray to play
Oh,
Batman.
can we do a Dark Knight Returns film with now aged Bill Murray?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, so let's do this again with the Joker.
All right, the Joker. All right, so first up we have Brad Dourif.
Now, who?
Peter from the David Lynch Dune and Grima Wormtongue from The Lord of the Rings. Yes.
Yeah, he would have been fine.
Yeah.
Tim Curry.
Yes!
Right? It's funny enough that Tim Curry was also supposed to voice Joker in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh
but,
my God!
he got sick with something and couldn't do the voice, and that's how Mark Hamill got the job.
I'm torn by that information.
Somewhere our friend Caleb just got real happy at the thought of Tim Curry playing the Joker.
Tim Curry does sound like probably the best option.
Oh, yes.
Until I mention the next one, David Bowie.
What?
David Bowie would have been fantastic. This is just a couple of years before he appeared in the David Lynch movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me.
Yeah, that's true. You remind me of the Bat?
Which bat?
I just
We can't go any further than that. We should have scripted something, right?
The bat with the smoke bomb.
Yeah, the Bat with the smoke bomb.
That takes like a good 20 seconds to fill the room with smoke, and then you can still see him. Keep working on that. Get Morgan Freeman on it. Yeah.
The other one, actually, this next one makes a lot of sense to me. John Lithgow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he would have been
He's
really
a
good.
classically trained actor who can really do humor and weird stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Very intimidating. He's got a real menacing energy when he puts his mind to it. Yeah. And weirdly gangly, too. Like, he's proportionally like a weird guy. I think if they'd accentuated that with his costuming, he would have looked, oddly inhuman. I think that would have worked beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
James Woods.
Yes.
Very much of that Jack Nicholson... That intensity that makes you very uncomfortable. Yes,
and he's kind of become a villain these days. So.
He absolutely has in real life.
Aw.
Now,
Probably not because of a vat of chemicals.
Presumably.
this last one was actually just used as bait to get Nicholson to agree to the role. They tangled this person in front of him and said, "We're going to cast this person if you don't do it." And Nicholson was like, "Fine, I'll do it."
Yes.
Which made this person very angry. Robin Williams.
Now I'm sad.
Robin Williams would have been an obvious choice in 1989 in particular for the Joker. I do not think that he would ever have taken that role ever in a million years.
He apparently was angry about them using him as bait
being
for Nicholson.
used.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if that was because he actually wanted the role.
Right.
I can't imagine that in 1989 because even in 1989 we're looking at the turn from Robin Williams into more dramatic performances.
Yeah.
He was kind of leaving behind that more outrageous comedic representation. Also, I can't imagine a version of this movie that isn't just Robin Williams doing his shtick. It would have been like Aladdin. It would have been him doing all of his voices. And all of his characters.
I miss Robin Williams.
Wow, that would have been more difficult to watch. I miss Robin Williams too, very much. Yeah.
Desperately so.
Yeah. Then
Just pull up Batman beatboxing, then we'll beatbox, and we can just wicket.
Perfect. There it is. Check to see if I got the audio here.
So before we move on to the plot of this movie, I have some quick facts about the movie. Mm-hmm. It was Burton's decision, actually, to not use tights or spandex because he felt like they wouldn't be intimidating. And while I don't really like the oversuit and looking at it today, back then I think it was a really good option.
No, I think it was a good choice.
And it looks more like an armor. It looks more like what Batman is represented in the comics.
The context for this movie was the, Richard Donner original Superman movie, which had spawned a host of unsuccessful sequels by this point, but that was very much the aesthetic of superheroes on the big screen. I like that we've gotten away from that. It does render one of the Joker's lines a little weird because the Joker makes a joke about Batman's tights in the course of this movie. Yeah. Batman obviously not wearing tights, you guys.
Super not wearing tights, yeah.
Like 100% not wearing tights.
Yep. One fun fact is that Dick Grayson was originally scripted into this film. They were going to tell his origin story because the Joker was going to be the one that killed his parents while driving through the circus.
Joker just running around killing everybody's parents.
Right?
Just orphaning it up.
Yep.
And that role was offered to Kiefer Sutherland.
Can see that. I can see
but he
that.
rejected it. And
another connection there to David Lynch's Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which I just rewatched. It is now, by the way, if you guys have never seen Fire Walk With Me, this is the spin-off movie that occurred after the first two seasons of Twin Peaks aired. It is very, very weird and inaccessible. Unless you're already a Twin Peaks fan, don't watch it. You will hate it. But it does feature my favorite performance from Kiefer Sutherland ever in anything. It is a very atypical performance. It's very understated. He's just fantastic. And I wish that we got more of him.
Anything can beat my love for him in Lost Boys.
Oh, Lost Boys is real good. Is there a comic book excuse for covering Lost Boys here on Excelsior?
Because we want to, and it's our show.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, there is. They use comic books to learn how to fight vampires.
They do! You're completely right. Okay, Lost Boys coming soon. If not before, Halloween 2018, then definitely then. We'll get around to it.
It can be in Bat Month. They're vampires.
Oh my God, no. What we do is we do Bat Month next year, but it's all vampire comics.
Nice.
Like it.
Boom!
idea.
And I don't have to watch any more Batman.
We can do
There's
Count
some
Nefaria.
Batman you really like, though. Yes. We just made bad decisions this month. Another quick fact, Batman was criticized by some for being too dark, but it was generally received positively by reviewers. It still to this day holds a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I really liked the way that their website sums it up, saying, an eerie, haunting spectacle. Batman succeeds as dark entertainment, even if Jack Nicholson's Joker too often overshadows the title character.
Very fair.
I sure do wish that this was just a Joker film and that Batman was incidental.
Yeah.
I feel like we've said that a lot this month. Like, maybe Batman works better in the periphery of his own stories.
I think so.
Where we can focus on. It makes me really interested to read like the GCPD comic book series,
which I've heard is really good. I bought the first volume, still haven't read it,
I like that idea. This is an approach. This is a street level approach to life in Gotham, but unlike the Gotham TV show, Batman is actually real and exists and is present in this story.
Right.
So he's around. I like that a lot. I'm interested in that idea.
Yeah. This movie won an Academy Award for Best Art Direction / Set Decoration.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way that this movie looks. When it gets big, in those few moments when it gets really big and you get a sense of Gotham as this steampunk nightmare hellscape, it really works for me. It is so deco. I love Grissom's office. I'm probably not going to get a chance to talk about this later, but Grissom's office with that giant portrait window with the two bust faces outside that looks like it was taken from BioShock.
Yes.
It's perfect. It's exactly that kind of creepy futurist deco that I adore. So I'm very into the set design throughout this movie.
Yeah. Tim Burton himself didn't like the Prince songs in the film, and
Neither did I.
he's right there.
We're almost an hour into this podcast. How is this the first time that we're mentioning Prince, you guys?
Because I forgot until just now.
Okay, around the table, thoughts on Prince. Sarah, big fan?
No opinion.
No opinion at all? You're very young. It's fine. Vinton, you're the same age, but still.
Not as much of an opinion. He has some really good songs. I do think he's a music icon. Completely not fit for a Batman movie.
I think that Prince...
Especially this Batman movie.
Yeah, Prince was a genius. Wow, this is a bad match.
Yeah.
This is
he
a
even did
really
like a
bad
music
match.
video for the Party Man song where he did like a Joker thing.
It would have worked better in one of the George Clooney Batman movies.
With a lighter tone?
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think you could definitely have gotten away
Not
with
a
it
Burton.
a little more readily there. But yeah, no, it feels like such a bad fit. And every time I watch it, it's just, no, doesn't work. And they're also really bad songs. Prince was capable of writing fantastic songs.
These aren't them.
Are not them. No.
You don't listen to Party Man all the time?
It's Prince. Weirdly, no. I mean, that should be our pump up song before we start recording. That should be our get our energy right. That should eclipse Shake It Off as our pre-podcast ritual.
Oh my God.
I should say that's never been our pre-podcast ritual, but it should be.
Well, this isn't the only time that Tim Burton completely agrees with Sarah about this movie, because he also says that he likes parts of it, but as a whole, the movie is mainly boring.
I agree. Why is this movie boring?
He says it's okay, but it's more of a cultural phenomenon than a great movie.
I completely agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think this is a knockout movie. It's not my favorite Batman movie, not by a long way, but there's enough here that I like that
me too.
It carries me through.
My final quick fact is something I already touched on, which is this film's great success led Warner Brothers to pushing for a Batman the Animated Series, and that's how we got the best cartoon that's ever existed.
Agreed.
Wow.
Agreed. And obviously it draws profound inspiration from this movie in particular. It's the aesthetic runs so deep into
The theme song, the Danny Elfman Batman theme.
That was something I was going to talk about when we were discussing Danny Elfman. He comes up with the Batman theme.
Yeah.
That is still the Batman theme that plays in my head no matter what movie I'm watching, no matter which comic book I'm reading. That is what Batman sounds like. In exactly the same way as John Williams encapsulated Superman for me with the score to the Richard Donner movie.
Yeah, I need to ask a friend of mine. I have a friend who's obsessed with Oingo Boingo, and he's a little older than me, so he grew up seeing them live and knows all about them. And one of the things that he pointed out to me and liked to point out to me often was that Danny Elfman, everything he's ever orchestrated for films takes from a Oingo Boingo song that he wrote previously. But I've never asked him if the Batman theme does that. He said every single song every single orchestration, he could point back and show an Oingo Boingo song where he borrowed from, because he wrote all those songs too. And so now I'm really interested. I'm gonna have to call him when we're done here.
Yeah. We've got a couple weeks left in Bat Month. If we find something positive there, we will definitely include it in one of the subsequent shows. Yeah.
All right, so let's go through the plot of this film. A family leaves the theater and wanders the streets of Gotham, trying to catch a cab when they are mugged. And I don't know if we're supposed to think that these are the Waynes or if they're just doing a weird parallel.
Okay, I totally didn't get that because, again, we don't explore Batman's origin till way later. They were supposed to be trying to do that. Yeah. It went straight over my head.
Yeah. But listen, Thomas Wayne would never act like this dad. And this dad, by the way, is the actor that played Biggs, the mustachioed X-Wing pilot Red 3 from Star Wars.
Why are there so many Star Wars people in this movie?
I just don't know. Also, the more cautious mugger here is Christopher Fairbank, who I really enjoy. You might recognize him as the scientist from The Fifth Element or the broker from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's also in the Doctor Who episode Flatline from season 8.
Huh.
He is. Oh, it's that guy. Yeah. I know that guy.
Exactly. Yes. The muggers sort through the items they stole and talk about the rumors of a Batman. Batman makes his appearance, scaring the crooks and telling them to spread the word.
As he lowers from the ceiling with smoke and wires, and he's like in those old Shakespeare plays when people would literally come down from the Deus Ex Machina. It was amazing.
I listened to the commentary for this, and I think that Tim Burton used the word operatic every time he talked about making this film, 100 times in that commentary. He's like, we just really wanted something operatic. And I was like, do you know other words, Burton? Do you?
Operatic. Operatic, Batman operatic.
Operatically operatic in an operatic way.
Mouse specifically. Yeah, no, but
Deflator Mouse.
I think this works. I think this is operatic. It is very slow. Batman moves very slowly throughout this entire movie until we get to that final fight sequence in the Belfry right at the end. He moves incredibly slowly, which I get, because the costume must have been
possibly unwieldy.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it was like to wear that thing. Michael Keaton still has no hair on his body. This costume, but I get the impact of seeing the Batman, and I was just old enough when this movie came out. I was 11 when this movie came out, and it was everywhere. The marketing push for this movie was preposterous. There were posters everywhere that were just the bat symbol. No other information, no title, no, directorial credits, no actors listed, nothing. Just the bat symbol for the entire summer before this movie came out.
Yeah. That's cool.
I was so excited. And then I saw it in theaters, and that first appearance of Batman was unlike anything I had ever seen on screen before. I still feel the coolness of that, even though now, as a jaded adult, I can look at it and say, okay. It's very slow. The cape does not look great when it's extended in the wing formation. It's
like an umbrella.
It is a little bit like an umbrella, but I love, though, that we come into this with Batman being new on the streets, where we're still dealing with the mythology of Batman. No one really believes
Batman
that he's
in the
real.
Streets, Bruce Wayne in the sheets.
Probably safer that way, right?
You don't want the utility belt getting in the way.
I guess that's why here he doesn't stop the mugging before it happens. He doesn't reclaim the items that were stolen or have the thieves turned over to the police. I guess he's just spreading the word in that phase of crime fighting.
Right. It kind of reminds me, weirdly, and this is an odd pull perhaps, of Suicide Squad and the very brief appearance that we get of Ben Affleck Batman in Suicide Squad, where he drops into the alley. I was waiting for that to happen. I'd forgotten that he just doesn't, that he's not interested in that at this point. It's good, though. I think it plays into that idea of Batman not necessarily being a Spider-Man level, avenger of crime on the streets of the city. It's more about his presence here. It's more about the fear that he causes, which is an integral part of Batman's identity that is oftentimes lost, I think.
He really is just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And I should say the police do show up later, so maybe he did call them, but he was just hoping that the criminals would still be around and terrified, I guess. We get that now famous "I'm Batman" that Keaton improvised.
I'm Batman.
And, yep, I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
District Attorney Harvey Dent gives a talk about cracking down on crime as Jack Napier watches on TV. Jack is second in command under the crime boss, Carl Grissom, but Carl's girlfriend, Alicia, is cheating on him with Jack.
Yeah.
And I really like this line here. Decent people shouldn't live here. They'd be happier somewhere else, which is all you need to know about
Fair.
Gotham.
Seriously,
right away.
yeah, everyone in Gotham just needs to leave. I know
Nice
they can't.
Gotham
That's part of the
setup.
thing.
This is simultaneously a really strong play by the movie and a really weak play by the movie, because on the one hand, we're getting the introduction of Harvey Dent, who is great. We're getting the introduction of Jack Napier, who I really enjoy. We're getting this kind of mob boss mentality. This is kind of partially a mafia story here in Gotham City, but we're also paying no attention to Batman or Bruce Wayne. He's absent from most of the first act of this movie.
Like,
which
you
is a
just get him on the
bold
roof.
choice.
And then we don't see him again for like 30 minutes.
It's a long
And there's that
time.
weird animated Batman as he like.
Oh my
runs.
gosh, it was
It's so weird.
amazing.
Why is that animated?
Doesn't need to be.
Why
at all.
on earth did we choose to animate that?
They couldn't
Guys,
afford Keaton for another day.
we didn't need Keaton. We just needed someone in something that looked a little bit like the Bat costume.
No, he
that
took the
we
Bat
could
costume
shoot from
home.
above.
They just
They had to mold it
all they
specifically
needed
to his
was
body.
a black sheet and a
Yes.
fan blowing on it.
We've
That's
been
all it
able
looks like.
to composite shots together since like the 50s, you guys. But instead, we do this really weird special effect.
A weird choice. It's not the first time. In fact, it does come up again where Joker is animated
Yes.
as he's
Yes.
falling to his death. But we'll get to that.
Not great. Yes.
Meanwhile, Lieutenant Eckhart picks up the thieves that Batman scared and dodges reporter Alexander Knox's questions about a Batman. Eckhart then meets with Jack, and we see he is a crooked cop paid off by Grissom.
Bum, bum, bum.
Like Alexander Knox very much. I find him tremendously charming. I like this perspective on the Batman. I like that he's leading the action through the first act of the movie. It becomes problematic later, as we said, when he drops out of the story almost entirely for a while. But he's good here, right?
Yeah.
Sarah, did you like him?
I
Was
don't
he
know. I mean,
engaging?
yeah, I'm watching a movie called Batman. Why am I watching this guy? Is this guy Batman? Is this Bruce
Good
Wayne?
question.
Fair.
I do really like this line. Lieutenant, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City? And if so, is he on police payroll? And if so, what's he pulling down after taxes?
It's pretty good. Yeah.
I think that part of the problem with this movie is that I felt like it didn't know exactly what it was trying to, like, was it trying to be funny? Was it
Yeah.
trying to be serious? Was it trying to be?
I feel like this is a pulled movie because it was such a unsafe bet at the time.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
It had some say, but not a lot. The
Yeah.
screenwriters had some say, but then the studio had a lot to say.
Right.
And no, that never works out well when everyone's
And
pulling in different directions.
It was 89, and movies in 89 were different than they
Yeah.
are now. We couldn't commit to the serious superhero thing, so it was going to be an action adventure comedy, as
Right.
every big movie was
Right.
throughout the latter half of the mid-1980s. There are parts of this movie that very much feel like Ghostbusters to me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can
you're
see
doing
that.
a serious plot with some ambition. I get it. I respect it. It's kind of a high concept plot too. That's great. But also, we're just going to have some dumb jokes from time to time. I mean, there's nothing in this movie as funny as Ghostbusters, maybe. Controversial position that I'm taking here on the Excelsior podcast.
It should be mentioned that Lieutenant Eckhart was loosely based on the comics character Lieutenant Harvey Bullock, who's well known in the comic and from the animated television show. Back at the office, Knox is mocked for his work on Batman by his coworkers, and a coworker hands him a Man-Bat drawing signed by Bob Kane. And this was supposed to be Bob Kane handing it to him, but Bob Kane was sick on the day he was supposed to film that scene.
What, they couldn't have got Stan Lee
I guess not.
in the weirdest cameo in movie history? Yeah.
That would have started that precedent a lot earlier.
Actually, if you talk to Stan Lee, he'll tell you that he invented Batman.
Probably so. But most of that's probably not his fault.
Yeah.
Photojournalist Vicky Vale believes Knox, however, and offers to team up on the investigation. The two attend a fundraiser for Gotham's 200-year anniversary at Wayne Manor to try to interview those running the city, and they have a short talk with Bruce himself, who is immediately smitten with Vicky.
Her dress is so bad. It's a bad dress. Like this
Yeah.
freaking high school prom, like virginal white bride. What the fuck is this?
There's also that really weird moment when she rubs up against Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that says about me. I mean, I've never seen that dress. I have no idea like what that dress looks like. I couldn't tell you. I can't imagine what she was wearing in those scenes, even though I've seen this movie 100 times.
You know what it is? I think we were paying particular attention to Vicky Vale's outfits because she gets a specific costume credit right at the beginning of the movie. And
that's right, yes.
Super extended opening credits to this film as we're panning slowly over a three-dimensional model of the bat symbol.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, everyone else is costumed by like, I don't know, some guy who's working out of a truck. Vicky Vale though, oh no, she gets exquisite
costume help for Ms. Basinger.
It was the 80s. Fashion was weird.
Yeah.
Well, and this isn't just weird. It's just bad. Yeah, it's a bad dress.
It does look like high school prom dress.
It does, yeah.
I do like the moment, though, where Bruce doesn't say that he's Bruce to Vicky. And then later, when he introduced himself as Bruce, she goes, "Are you sure?"
That was cute.
It's a good beat. I like that joke.
Yeah, but our perspective on Bruce Wayne here is crazy. He's the wealthiest man in Gotham City, and yet no one knows what
Nobody
he looks like.
knows what he looks like?
Pre-internet.
I kind of like that as an idea. Well, okay, yeah, she's also an award-winning photojournalist, so,
Yeah, but
maybe a little
where
dubious
has she
there.
been a photojournalist? Maybe not in the States.
Okay, Alexander Knox apparently has his eye on a Pulitzer Prize here in Gotham City and also doesn't know, A, what Bruce Wayne looks like,
that's
B,
completely fair.
anything about Bruce Wayne,
Well, also,
I guess.
Knox apparently doesn't care about anything but the Batman.
I don't know why he thinks he's going to get a Pulitzer for that. I mean, that's National Enquirer at
I
best.
do like, though, he has that charming, roguish 80s movie protagonist quality, that when the guys in the newsroom are giving him shit about the Batman, he just gives it right back. There. I was surprised how charmed I was by Alexander Knox through this movie.
Speaking of charming, one of the best Keaton lines in this whole film, it's Japanese. How do you know? Because I bought it in Japan.
That was very good. Yeah,
it's such a good introduction to that character with those other characters.
That entire scene works for me beautifully as they're investigating the armor, and he comes in, and we see him in the back of the shot, and he gets closer and closer and closer, and as he's emoting and responding to their conversation, even though they can't see him, Bruce Wayne is crazy, you guys.
Bruce Wayne is crazy,
but he's crazy in a really charming way.
Yeah.
In this moment, a little less charming later, perhaps.
And I like his exit line, and give Mr. Knox a grant.
Yes,
that was also very good. Yeah.
That beat with the open more champagne. What was 6? What do you think? 6? 6 sounds good. Yeah.
What do you guys think?
He has no idea.
Bruce Wayne is insane.
Yeah, he dresses as a bat to fight crime.
He also, though, has apparently no concept of his own
wealth.
Yeah, of his own position
or like
in
what
Gotham
stuff
society.
costs.
Yeah,
I think is where we get the hint that in the script he was supposed to be returning to Gotham after having been gone, training and becoming the
that
Bat.
makes a lot more sense.
Also ties into the line later where he says, "It still feels like my father's house in a lot of ways."
Yeah.
And then when they're having dinner, I don't think I've ever been in this room before.
I believe him when he says that. I don't think he's playing it for a joke. I think he honestly goes, "I don't think I've ever been in this room."
Yeah.
For Alfred, though, Alfred's had the run of Wayne Manor for like what, a decade?
Yeah.
He's just been able to hang out, put his feet up, watch some Netflix. It's been pretty great.
Typically grouting the tile in the like fifth master bedroom, second bathroom. Soon, Bruce has to take off as Batman to follow Commissioner Gordon to a chemical plant to capture Jack.
This scene takes approximately 50 million years.
It does. It isn't helped that we get the scene. We, from our privileged audience position, get the scene between Commissioner Gordon and the police officer, and then we get to watch it again from Batman's POV as he's watching it on those ancient CRT.
I wish that was the only way we got to see it, because that is the perfect way to see it, through those ancient TVs with all the giant video cameras. Obviously have a VHS tape in them.
Yeah,
and they're just like, he's got like 40 of those TVs, and they're just so big.
Batman also flips the VHS. Yeah,
he does.
And here he is in his Bat closet. We haven't yet expanded it to the full cave.
Right.
Now it's just a Bat closet with a bunch of TVs and some black painted wood paneling.
Yeah, and a chair.
Bold choice.
Yeah.
Bold choice.
The chemical plant here, though, does look very cool.
It does.
I really like the way that the buildings look when they're like created, fabricated that way.
Yeah.
I should just say that I really love the aesthetic of this film in general. We already talked about it a little bit, but overall, this is beautiful aesthetic.
I'm already wildly in love with it at this point. When we get the opening scene with Harvey Dent and we get that landscape shot of Gotham, and it is this deco futurist nightmare, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Grissom, knowing his girlfriend is cheating with Jack, has sent Jack on the raid to the chemical plant, but it's a trap because he sends Eckhart in after him. After Grissom tells Jack that he wants him to go to Axe Chemicals, Jack says that line of me questioningly. He holds up that Joker card, and there's the casinos punch holes in the cards when they're done using the decks. The hole is punched right on the cheek where he gets the bullet ricocheted into him later.
Oh,
It's like a foreshadowing almost. It's a weird, easy to miss foreshadowing.
That's very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
A shootout starts between Jack's men and the police. Jack shoots Eckhart, telling him to think about the future, calling back to their meeting at the beginning of the movie when Jack said that he was the future crime lord. When Jack tells Batman, nice outfit, I really wish he would say, thanks, my mom made it. Would have made
That's
my
the
day.
difference between Superman and Batman right there.
Oh, man.
Again, Batman moves really slowly through this. We get that brilliant scene where Napier rushes up the steps and then Batman kind of steps in from the side of frame, and just walks very slowly after him. Not terribly impressive, but again, first time I watched this movie, super daunting, super intimidating.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he looks cool.
Yeah. Batman engages Jack in a fight, and Jack falls into a chemical vat where he is left for dead. Batman tried to catch him, but couldn't hold on. Gordon is upset because he wanted to use Jack to get to Grissom.
Never just leave the villain. Never just assume that he's dead. Batman.
Like, are you going to fish the body out of the chemicals? Or, like, what is your sitch? Like, what are we going to do?
Nope.
This is how you get haunted hotels with, like, weird, scary ghost water.
Yeah. This scene also has some of the worst stiff-necked Batman in the film.
Oh,
I
it's
think.
so bad.
As he turns to look at the cops coming at him from every direction, he just turns his whole body left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by this. It's an exaggeration to say that I like this, but I'm kind of fascinated by it because Michael Keaton in this movie informs the way that Batman will move for the next 4 movies.
The Bat turn.
Not until Christian Bale. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Bat turn. It's not until Christian Bale and the advances in costuming technology and the advances in digital compositing that we that allow us to make for a more realistic Batman costume. That's the point at which Batman starts moving like a human being. Until that point, Keaton, Kilmer, and Clooney. Yeah, George Clooney played Batman. It's very, very weird. All 3 of the actors who play Batman all move in exactly the same way. And it is that, the whole torso turn. Like you pivot only from the waist. That's the only part of your body.
They're like Ken dolls.
They had no other choice, honestly. And then smoke bomb. Unnecessary smoke bomb because you can still see Batman through the smoke bomb as he slowly takes off.
It's the slowest smoke bomb.
So slow.
But the police on either side still get very confused.
Yeah, we've never seen
Gordon
smoke
watches
before.
it, and Gordon's like,
This is
oh, that's
unprecedented.
Batman slowly taking off. But then the police on the side are like, what happened?
What? Yeah.
Magic.
Like, I get it. I understand you want to use the practical effect. Don't use the practical effect now. Do some animated something. Do some.
You already did cartoon Batman earlier. Just do cartoon smoke.
It'll be fine.
It'll be great. Vicky returns to Wayne Manor for a date with Bruce. And that's where we get the long table, awkward dinner scene that is very iconic to me. It's one of the things I think of first when I think of this film, when he has to walk all the way down to give her the song.
Sarah, the first time that we watched this film, completely predicted that this was the way that this scene was going to play out. We get the shot of Vicky Vale, then we get the shot of Bruce, and they're obviously, 40 feet apart. I am so immediately charmed by this scene, both by Bruce Wayne in this scene and then as they decamp to the butler's kitchen and eat with Alfred.
Alfred telling stories. It's so perfect. It is perfect.
I don't think I've ever seen a version of this scene done this well with Batman and Alfred, but this speaks so powerfully to their, father-son relationship.
Yeah, and I love the Keaton line, Alfred is my family.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Jack has survived his accident.
Wait, what?
Yes. And he is helped out by a surgeon with rusty tools in a rundown building.
In the back alley surgery office. Welcome to back alley surgery.
Hey, if you've ever played Arkham Asylum, these things exist.
Yeah.
We'll botch your surgery the first time or it's free.
He is disfigured with white skin, green hair, and a permanent grin, having also been driven insane by the incident. The Joker smashing the light and then the mirror, and that's not actually going to see anything, but it's
I thought that was really cool.
Really perfect move.
Yeah.
It is another one of those beats, though, that has been parodied now, or not even parodied, but played straight, just replicated in so many other stories that it feels like the oldest trope in the book. But this is certainly the first time that I remember seeing it. It is obviously a throwback to, Hammer horror and older horror movies of the 70s, but it works beautifully here for me.
Yeah. Should be the nice little Easter egg here. The surgical tools that were used here in this scene are the same props for the dental tools used by Steve Martin on Bill Murray in Little Shop of Horrors.
I love that. That's really good. Okay. Excellent. See, there is so much to love about this film.
Jack pays Grissom a visit, killing him for what he did and taking his place as crime lord. Nice introductory line there. That you, Sugar Bumps? Who the hell are you? It's me, Sugar Bumps.
I did like that, yeah.
The name reveal and the visual reveal really work here as well when he comes out of the shadow and says, I'm the Joker, and as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
One of the things that Tim Burton manages to do absolutely consistently throughout his entire career is demonstrate an utter mastery of lighting and shadow.
Yeah.
The fact that he manages to keep Joker shrouded in shadow for as long as he does, he keeps moving forward and you keep waiting for the reveal. It happens, I don't know, 4 or 5 times in the course of the scene before we finally get it. It is masterfully done. It's an enormously effective reveal. And yeah, Grissom is inessential in this movie, except that he's our vector for getting the delivery of Joker here.
Yeah. Vicky wakes up the next morning to see Bruce hanging bat-like from one of those ankle strap workout back relief contraptions.
Hate that.
There's a
Real
scene
subtle.
Hate that.
exactly like this in the TV show New Girl between CC and Schmidt.
Because Schmidt is Batman.
Schmidt is Batman.
He's done a very good job at pretending to be someone that cannot be Batman.
Yeah.
I'm Batman. Youths.
I like that a lot. The Joker gets that great line, winged freak terrorizes, wait till they get a load of me, which is now an iconic Joker line, but it's actually just him quote referencing another movie he was in called Going South. Bruce lies to Vicky about going out of town, but Alfred accidentally reveals to her that it was a lie.
Again, we have to remember that Bruce has only been in Gotham for, 25 minutes at this point, because otherwise this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is Alfred's first day working as a butler for a secret vigilante.
Right. And this encourages Vicky to start investigating Bruce. She follows him and sees him leave 2 roses in Crime Alley, not knowing why. Joker takes over for Grissom by force, frying someone who questioned him with a palm zapper.
This is so much the scene from The Untouchables too. This is every kind of assembly of mob bosses playing out.
Right.
These are also the chillest mob bosses in the universe.
You observed this while we were watching the film. I'd never noticed this before, but you're absolutely right. We don't get a reaction shot from anyone in this film. Anytime something is going on, every single person in the scene, stone face.
Seriously.
Unless it's like their close up where they get to do a smoke bomb.
Yes, but otherwise everyone is just like, I wonder what craft services brought today.
I should also mention at this point, this is the first time we see Joker with his skin tone makeup.
I hate this.
Maybe
so
more
much.
Terrifying. Actually, absolutely more terrifying than what's
definitely more terrifying.
He looks like a walking corpse.
It's very, very bad.
They did a very good job of making it look like he put on skin tone makeup to try to look like a normal boy. And then, of course, the scene with Bob is very iconic to me. Yeah. And Bob, remember, you're my number 1 guy.
It's so creepy and good. And he really channels Jack Palance in that moment. I love it.
The goon Bob here should be noted. He did get famous enough. He had his own action figure, which I should get one of those. I really want to look up.
There's a Goon Bob from Batman.
Yeah. And the only reason he's even in this film is because he's really good friends with Jack Nicholson, and that was part of Jack Nicholson's stipulation was that his friend get this role in the film
This
as
is
well.
my buddy Jerry. I will be in your movie if you put Jerry in it.
But to be fair, he has been in like 100 other things, doing a lot of work, but usually in the same type of like weird sidekick role.
It's like, okay, is Bob the Goon like Jack Nicholson's like service animal before service animals were a thing? Like, I like to keep him around. He makes me feel better.
Well, that way he gets to fly for free.
Yeah.
We should say that this is actor Tracy Walter, who does have 174 acting credits on IMDb.
Wow.
Up to the year 2016. He is also starring as Grubby in the movie Boone, which has been announced but does not as yet have a release date. He's worked
You just made up
everything. He's
all
worked
of that.
on everything. He was in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was in a show called Zombies! Never seen that, but really want to.
For the 2 exclamation points.
He apparently was in 4 episodes of Reno 911. He's been in a couple episodes of Justice League, of Teen Titans, just a million
Is
things.
he playing Bob the Goon in those episodes?
I wish he was.
Let me find it. No, in Justice League, he is playing Mofir, and then in Teen Titans, he was playing the Puppet King. So that's a step up from Bob the Goon.
There's 2
Everything's
rules
a step
in
up from
comic
Bob
books.
the Goon.
You never bring back Uncle Ben and you never bring back Bob the Goon. Everyone knows that.
Who the hell is Bob?
I also really like that Joker starts talking to the fried body, saying, "Your pals, they're not bad people. Maybe we ought to give them a couple days. Think it over. No? Grease him now? Well, okay, you vicious bastard. And I'm glad you're dead."
It's really dark.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I love how dark it is. I love how manic Jack Nicholson is. I love how dangerous
They really
and
do set
unhinged
up
he
his,
is.
like,
yeah, they really do.
psychosis.
Yeah.
One of the other crime lords that worked under Grissom tries to publicly take over for Grissom in front of the media, but Joker kills him with a feather pinned to the throat.
This is a scene that takes a really long time to get going, isn't it? The infiltration of the mimes into the press conference.
The creepy,
Send in the mimes.
mimes.
Also, bad mimes, which I
great.
love. I respect the hell out of the fact that these are obviously just Joker's goons. These are just mafia guys from Gotham City who've never mimed in their life, and now they're being called upon to mime. It's very, very bad. It takes forever, and Bruce Wayne looks utterly bewildered throughout the entire sequence of events.
Bruce Wayne looks like he's trying to remember whether or not Alfred left the oven on.
He's very confused and not willing to do much of anything. Bob takes photos of the event and catches one of Vicky, which will come important a little later. I do like Joker's line, "Hello, Vinny, it's your Uncle Bingo. Time to pay the check."
Yes.
So what does that mean? What does that mean?
Love it.
And then the pen is truly mightier than the sword. Not the first time that line's been written into something, but I like Bruce's trance, though. I like him seemingly not even noticing the gunfire as it rips through the arm of his jacket.
Yeah.
And he just walks right up to the Joker in the car as Joker waves and drives away.
What do you guys make, at like a very high level, what do you guys make of a Bruce Wayne who is this unhinged? A Bruce Wayne who is holding on to his sanity and holding on to his public persona, to his civilian persona, by the most slender of threads. Is this a dynamic that works for you? Does it engage you?
I kind of like it. I've seen similar things in the comics where we have to deal with Bruce Wayne dealing with his own mental issues and dealing with, I mean, he's gone through a lot of trauma, and of course he dresses up as a bat and fights crime. He has to think about, have I caused a lot of these problems, these type of things? And so I kind of like when Bruce is shown to not be the sanest person in the world.
Sarah?
I don't know that I've seen enough examples. Obviously, I haven't like read as many Batman comics as Vinton has. But here, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that I can see how it would be a very interesting dynamic, and an even more interesting dynamic than just here's a guy who dresses up as a bat for funsies. But I don't know if this movie does the best version of presenting that. Does that make sense? Like, I think that there are probably better examples, and I think that I would be very interested in those better examples.
And I think that if you're going to do that, you do have to, as we keep saying here in Bat Month, if you're going to do that story, you have to push Batman a little more to the side. He can't be your protagonist if he's actually nuts. I think that's a really interesting story, and I hope someday we get that on screen. I mean, that could be part of the story in Justice League for all we know. That would be a really interesting.
I mean, that sure does explain a lot of Batman's dreams and stuff in Batman versus Superman.
Sure does. And it should be noted that some of the reading I did show that Tim Burton really did want to show two sides of a crazy person.
Oh, and he does
in this film.
It's fascinating to me that here in the first big budget Batman movie, here in 1989, we're already doing this story that Batman is responsible for most of Gotham's ills. He's responsible for the rise of supervillainy in Gotham. That's exactly the way it should be. He's directly responsible, of course, because he inadvertently creates the Joker, but he's also indirectly responsible in that he has simply elevated the conflict here. I love that. I love that as an argument, as we've discussed before. I think that's a really interesting part of Batman's character, and there's a compelling argument to be made that Batman could best serve Gotham by stopping being Batman.
Yes.
Yeah. Once you get the ball rolling, though.
Yeah, right.
He's addicted to Batman.
Once you Batman, I just can't quit you, Batman.
Joker angrily watches TV later as the press doesn't even mention him and only wants to talk about the Batman. He doesn't understand what kind of world this is where this Batman gets all of his press, and he says this town needs an enema.
Yeah, there's a kind of weirdly toothless critique of TV, I guess, TV culture in this movie, TV news in particular.
Yeah.
It's there. It's not particularly sharp. It's not particularly perceptive, and it doesn't really fulfill a function in the plot. This feels to me like either, I guess, Sam Hamm or Tim Burton has like some kind of problem. They just hate TV news. Yeah. It does definitely remind me of Dr. Horrible's sing-along block.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We get next three scenes one where Bruce and one where with Vicky and one with Joker, all separately doing some research, which I never noticed until I was taking notes. I was like, this is kind of like a weird 3-beat, just showing them each separately doing the research on different things. But I kind of like the way it goes together.
A little slow, but I like the purpose. Yeah.
Joker spies. There is a montage. Should have been a montage.
Should have been a montage.
Should have been a montage.
Joker spies Vicky in one of Bob's photos and is also immediately smitten. Joker checks on some chemicals at the plant and commands for all of it to be shipped. Later, we see that the Joker is using a chemical he calls Smilex, as previously seen on the Excelsior podcast on Harley Quinn's shirt as a reference to this film, to kill people, leaving them with a big grin, including the news anchor reporting on it. He hacks into the TV feed and gives a commercial telling viewers that the chemicals are in everyday items that they already have.
He hacks the live TV feed because that's a thing you can do in the 80s in a movie.
Yeah.
We don't know where the signal's coming from. He just put a tape in your, I don't know, player, I guess.
He's standing behind you. He's right behind you. Just turn around. Oh, you can't because you're wearing a Batman costume.
Turns
too?
out Bob the intern is actually Bob the goon.
Oh,
You guys didn't know.
Uh-oh. And this is where we get the line, maybe one of my favorite quotes, definitely the quote I use the most, love that Joker. I don't know why, it just always stuck in my head. And the new scene after this where the anchors are wearing no makeup or anything is such a perfect choice to just represent how everyone's afraid to use any of the items in Gotham.
And the facade of civilization is dropping away because Joker has instilled this fear in the people of Gotham.
They didn't have Amazon to be able to order their cosmetics off of, so they're screwed, I guess. I don't know.
But they could have showered though, right?
They could have showered.
It could be in the water.
Yeah, well, okay, true.
They say that they're on a forced fast, which means none of them have eaten either.
Okay, that's fair. It could be in anything. Yeah.
It's a crappy time to live. It's always a crappy time to live in Gotham.
Yes, it is.
I think there has been Batman stories where Smilex has been introduced into the water in Gotham, so it's not unheard of.
Move away! Everyone in Gotham, just leave!
There's some great moments in the comics where something happens and someone's just like, I gotta get out of Gotham. I gotta go back to Metropolis.
I hate it here.
Vicky leaves a message for Bruce telling him that she will be late to their meeting at the museum, but he didn't have any plans to meet her at the museum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Again, takes forever. We have to see the receipt of the message and then the passing on to the message to Bruce and then the furrowed brow and the, wait, I didn't have any plans.
This is actually an interesting talking point
at the museum.
Because if you watch old television, think about every TV show from the 80s and before. They literally, some of those TV shows start out with a whole 3 minutes telling you what's going to happen in that 15-minute TV show.
Yep.
Just telling you, in today's episode,
pacing was different in the 80s. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and then Columbo, half the scenes of Columbo is him just wandering around going, the guy's dead, huh? He takes like 10 paces off to the left, comes back, walks back. Yeah, he's real dead. I wonder what we should do about that guy being dead. They just had no idea that you should just push a film. It was a different time.
It's funny that this is exactly the problem that we observed in the Batman 66 movie. And it's so weird to think that, there are more similarities between Batman 1966 and Batman 1989 than there are between 1989 and Batman Begins.
There really are.
Yeah, there was a real watershed moment between those latter two.
As Joker prepares to meet Vicky, we see Alicia in her uber creepy mask.
Hate.
Yep, don't like that at all.
Hate.
Yep.
Instead, when she arrives, that's a weird, I must have inserted that note. Yeah, I'm going to have to change the way I say that. Sorry. When Vicky arrives at the museum, she finds a box with a gas mask, and the place is gassed. And when everyone but her has passed out, the Joker and his goons arrive, vandalizing the art at the museum and listening to Prince.
Plays out like a music video, and again takes a billion years.
To be fair, you might have noticed from all the Dutch angles, this is a complete reference to Batman 66. There's an episode where Joker goes in a museum and vandalizes all the art. And you'll notice that as soon as they start out, they just start using Dutch angles left and right.
There are a couple, you're right, this is the direct reference. There are a couple in other parts of the movie, but they seem to be used for purposes of composition. Like the way that Tim Burton will use Dutch angles in all of his films, rather than used in specific reference to Batman 66. But you're right, in this sequence, wow, Dutch angles everywhere.
Right, and that it's the episode Pop Goes the Joker for anyone that wants to look it up later.
As you should. Yeah.
I also want to mention here, even though these made an appearance earlier when Bob first showed up with the Joker, the whole gang has Joker patches with his face.
And I thought that was neat.
They're very cool looking. I've always wanted one. But one, why did he make these? And two, how did he have them made so fast and distributed to everyone? And he has his cars painted in certain colors. Everything. His helicopter has a giant logo.
There's a lot of support infrastructure for the mob in Gotham City. Yeah.
He had like his own
mob starter.
He had his own PR team apparently, just funded. Like all those goons, they're actually PR graduates. Joker looks through Vicky's portfolio, calling it all crap until he gets the photos of dead bodies. He then presents himself as an artist as well and shows Alicia's scarred face under the mask.
She doesn't look that bad.
No, not bad enough for Vicky to scream in horror.
Yeah, like her cheeks a little messed up, but like 3/4 of her face are fine.
Yeah, there's so much Tim Burton grotesquerie in this film that she should have looked much worse. She should have looked a million times
She
worse.
maybe shouldn't have had a face.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Something to that degree.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I should point out the quote here where Vicky asks him what he wants, and he says, "My face on the $1 bill," because that will become important slightly later. But also, I do like the "you must be joking." He says, "Do I look like I'm joking?" And he's got that big grin.
That was very
Good.
good.
It's
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
And then Vicky throwing water in his face and him acting like it's burning him, and she gets concerned, like she just seriously injured somebody.
Girl, you damsel bad.
Yeah, she's damseled pretty hard by this movie.
Yeah, and then she does a bad job of it. Like, you're supposed to run away. You don't go over to your psycho attacker and like pat him on the back and check on him. Ugh.
Because you burned him with the acid of water. Yes.
The acid of water.
Hey, hydrogen dioxide is very dangerous.
And his face is melting off when he looks back at it.
Technically it is. Yeah.
He's the Wicked Witch of the West.
Batman crashes in to save Vicky just after she tells the Joker that she doesn't know anything about him. And the two escape together in the Batmobile and then on foot when thwarted by construction.
Okay, let's talk about the Batmobile. I love this Batmobile.
Yeah, I really like the armor that goes up over it when he
the
needs
armor
to leave
looks
it.
great. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
The fins on the back, again, super deco.
Yeah,
really anachronistic. I have no idea what year it's supposed to be, but it works. I mean,
don't
this is
like the guns.
One of my well, that's for philosophical reasons. I'm not really fond of those, but this is one of my favorite Batmobile designs. This is actually my favorite Batmobile design.
I mean, this is like the ultimate iconic Batmobile. I mean,
so.
it's very.
So.
I mean, does he have like the exact same one in the animated series, or is it
not exactly,
close,
but there's
really
a lot
close?
of similarities.
Yeah, like with the. I mean, I remember the fins and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I remember all of that being on all of our Batman toys as kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it works for me. Yeah. It's not Legos.
It's not
It's
Legos.
not a scuttler.
It's not a scuttler.
It's not a scuttler, that's for sure. And then we get the real awkward scene about how much Vicky weighs.
Oh, I hate
Him asking in the first place as if he doesn't think his equipment can hold her. And then
if she'd said 112,
he goes, let's plan B.
Can you
Plan
throw
B.
up really quick? Like, what are you gonna do?
And then his comment, which really is the problem here, you weigh a little more than 108.
So we talked a little about Vicky Vale being objectified. We talked a little about her being, I guess, literally objectified in parts of this film. This is really gross.
Yeah,
I hate it.
It's unnecessary, especially in a slow movie when you need to be cutting some stuff.
Yeah.
Cut this.
Also, it's Kim Basinger, you guys.
Yeah,
Like,
also
she
108,
weighs
not a healthy weight.
Nothing actually is what she weighs. Effectively nothing.
Vicky gets some great photos of Batman fighting a doofus with swords, and the two take off again in the Batmobile.
I thought I blacked out and woke up in the middle of a Ninja Turtles movie.
Right.
Again,
It's weird.
89. So you basically did. Yeah. I do love the beat where she takes the film and tucks it inside her bra. That we get a moment of real agency and competence from Vicky Vale.
And then they stripped it right from her.
Yeah, here's the thing. I forgot she did that even when taking my notes. That's going to make another part of this real awkward. We'll get there.
Okay.
Put a pin in that and remember that. They take off again in the Batmobile, arriving at the Batcave, and that forest looks super Tim Burton-y because that's not a real forest. That's a Tim Burton forest.
Absolutely no. It's all made out of clay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the same set they used in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. And then the weird line, the only hint as to why Bruce went from his parents being killed to deciding to be Batman. Vicky looks around and says, "Bats? Why bats?" And he says, "They're great survivors." And that's the only hint we get as to why he decided to be the Batman.
I missed this.
They're great survivors.
I must have been screaming incredulously when that line was spoken, but what?
He says, as if to explain why he's Batman.
Bats are great survivors.
Bats,
You didn't know that?
nature's greatest survivalist. Bats, nature's Bear Grylls. What are we doing?
So Batman gives Vicky the info on the source of Smilex for her to pass on to the press. And she's a little worried about this, thinking that the press isn't going to trust him because a lot of people think he's as dangerous as the Joker and a little bit crazy himself. And she says, let's face it, you're not exactly normal. And he says, the world isn't exactly normal, is it?
Yes.
Thanks, Batman.
What are you, 15?
Well, not now. No, Batman. Thanks. Yeah.
And then now we can unpin the film being in the bra as I talk about the fact that she blacks out and wakes up in her own apartment after he says,
never put this together.
There's
You're
something
so
else
right.
from you that I want. And then she blacks out and wakes up in her apartment. And all she says, as if to like fix this and say, oh, it wasn't a sexual thing, is he took the film, which is why he blacked her out. But now I'm thinking he took the film out of her bra.
He definitely did that.
And so when it went from like just seeming like a really bad joke that they put in there, now I'm thinking something happened. And I really didn't think something did before. And now I don't like it at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, movie.
I understand Batman not wanting someone in his Batcave, but then blacking out and waking up and him starting that whole thing out by saying there's something else that you have that I want.
Also,
not okay.
Why did he take her to the Batcave?
Yeah.
He had like
could've just
a
driven her
binder with the information on the Smilex.
Mail it to her.
Could have given it to her
bring right
literally
Yeah.
anywhere.
I don't know.
But no.
I don't know.
Just drop her off at home.
idea.
Ask
And
her
then-
for the film. She'd probably give it to you.
And then
You're Batman.
I also really hate the line when she's talking to Knox and he says, oh, you have some information. Is it hot? And she goes, yeah, it's real hot. I'm like, oh, gross. What just happened? No.
No, 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 no.
I'm currently rolling around the studio in case you weren't aware.
Wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't be. Batman's information gets to the news and helps the city to avoid Smilex. And then Joker has another famous. He has a lot of good lines in this movie.
He does have
really
a lot
does,
of good
yeah.
lines. Yes.
I've given a name to my pain, and it's Batman.
Yes, that should have been my opening line. I, Sarah Kate Pazan, have given a name to my pain, and it is Bat Month.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, listen, I love you both. I love this show. I just am so sad that I have not enjoyed so much of the Bat material we've been given.
We're going to make this work next time.
Yes.
Alfred encourages Bruce to make amends with Vicky and consider telling her he's Batman because Alfred's apparently insane too.
Oh, but Master Bruce, you've known this girl now for about 35 minutes. I think it's time for you to tell her about your secret identity. And good God, I need a vacation, please.
He needs more Pinot Grigio.
And again, Batman proves himself to be a dick by pushing her into her seat when she meets her in their apartment and telling her to shut up. What the hell, man?
I
There's
felt
a
bad
million better
using
things
that
to
line
so
at
mad.
the beginning of the episode. This is really tough
This
to
is
watch.
not
Yeah.
good writing.
It's
for
gross.
Bruce.
No.
It sucks.
Yeah, I
it
don't think that
sucks and it's gross.
We really don't have anything like more insightful or more constructive to say about it. It's just really shitty, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Don't do this in your
Don't.
movies. Don't have a hero do this.
There's
an
a lot better
ostensible
ways to
hero
handle him having a hard time telling her he's Batman than being a little bit abusive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is followed up with a joke that, if it wasn't tainted, would have been, a pretty good joke where he tries to explain normal life to her and she's like, yeah, I don't know what that's like.
I don't know.
It's a little weird, but
Again, this takes forever.
it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
We'll give you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's Keaton's kind of halting delivery for which he is rightly famous, and I think that in many cases he manages to impart a great deal of emotion with his Goldblum-esque delivery here, where he will just pause randomly and insert ellipsis into the script. At
Batman
random. That's fine.
finds a way.
He sure does.
Okay, let's go back to the very beginning of our discussion. I want to see Jeff Goldblum as Batman, please.
Ooh. You know what? I want to see Jeff Goldblum as anything and everything. So
All things, please.
We
all
are
the
so
Goldblums.
close to Thor Ragnarok, you guys.
Goldblums
I know.
all the way
I'm
down.
feeling the weight
I
of
already
it.
bought my
This
tickets. I'm very excited.
Gravitational weight here. We should say, for those of you who are looking forward to our discussion of Thor Ragnarok, we will be discussing it opening weekend. Vin,
Yes.
you have tickets for the Thursday night.
Yes.
Sarah, we are going to go and see it Friday morning, hopefully
Yeah.
with you too.
I
Vin.
will probably do the
You
same
can
thing I did
just
on
double it
Spider-Man
up, just for
Homecoming.
Spider-Man
Double it
Homecoming.
up.
Yep.
And then
I'm
we'll
very
come.
excited.
I think our tradition now is to go see it Friday morning, go get lunch in a diner, and then come record the show.
Yes.
When we're all feeling logy from pancakes. I think that's a good time to
The
record
best way to
podcast.
record.
We're real sleepy, you guys, but we have some thoughts about Thor Ragnarok. It's pretty good.
Just go to a happy happy food coma about Marvel. It's so great, you guys. Are just saying
That's the antithesis of that month right there for you. That's just yes.
I'm just gonna eat so many waffles that I die happy.
Yeah.
And then I get to say a line I didn't think I'd ever get to say, really, is that Joker interrupts. And I'm very grateful for it.
Yes.
Thank you, Joker, for interrupting you, psychopath, and coming in here to be crazy, but not necessarily that crazy.
Yeah, things are about to get crazier still. Yes.
He then reveals to Vicky that Alicia supposedly killed herself by laying up the broken mask. Which this is actually a nod to the comics. I never knew this until reading some trivia on this movie. Alicia Hunt seems to be based off an obscure Batman comics character named Cersei. I'm not sure if that's how that's pronounced. An ex-girlfriend of the Black Mask whose face was scarred by him and then committed suicide.
Whoa.
Huh.
Yeah, weird, unnecessary
Does
Easter egg.
also demand that the makeup on her face be worse, that the prosthetic effect be worse when we see it. Yeah, but here we are. Yeah.
And then we get that line of... the Joker saying, Bruce Wayne, n'est-ce pas? And that means, is it not? And I really like that Bruce Wayne's response is most of the time. He's only Bruce Wayne most of the time. I mean, not all the time.
Most of the time. I'm also Batman.
Damn it. To kill everyone in this
having a
room.
secret identity.
And this is when Bruce goes crazy on the Joker.
What
shoots him in the chest.
happens in the... What happens in this scene?
I like it. But
What
it's weird.
happened?
The reading of this scene is that Bruce cannot be a victim, right? Because if he presents himself as a victim, the Joker is going to kill him. The only thing that he can do to try and get out of it is to out crazy the Joker. And ultimately it doesn't work because the Joker shoots him.
But he knew that was going to happen.
But he knows that's going to happen.
Exactly
hence
where
the
Joker's
silver
going to
tray.
shoot him, apparently, because he put the silver tray right there.
By the way, we have those silver trays at camp. We serve cookies on them all the time. There's no way those can stop a bullet. Absolutely not. No.
But
Are the ones that camp actual silver?
Fair point. Asked and answered. No, they are not.
The Joker also, this is an incidental detail that I like. Everyone else has like serious armaments here, but the Joker pulls out the tiniest gun you've ever
baby
seen.
gun.
It's a very small caliber bullet.
It's a
So
baby.
it could be hopefully deflected by that, solid steel somehow wrapped in silver.
Apparently, it like puts a big dent in it.
Yep.
You get to see later. And
Like
you can
a
actually see on the
Harvey
tray when he
dent.
first picks it up a little bit.
Harvey dent.
But I do like the idea that, like, you know, to scare off like a wild, vicious animal, you have to look big and fearsome yourself.
Yeah.
So he's going insane to try to scare off the crazy person.
Okay, all right.
So I do kind of like that as a defense mechanism.
I guess the other explanation would be that he is goading the Joker into killing him so that he can escape and be Batman again. Because the alternative might be that he is taken along with Vicky Vale, which would make escaping that much harder.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, lunatic. It's
insane.
Yeah.
so weird to watch.
so bonkers.
I much prefer Bruce Wayne who's calm and cool in front of the most insane characters. That's the Bruce Wayne I prefer. But we do get him telling the story of Jack Napier to the Joker, which I appreciate, especially when the Joker says, I like him already.
Yeah. Mean kid, bad seed, hurt people. Yeah, it's good.
Yep. And then we get that Joker line of, tell me something, my friend. You ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Which is probably the most famous line from this movie.
When we were watching the movie, Sarah said, this is where that comes from?
I had no idea.
Quoted so often.
Yeah.
But then what's weird is that the movie deliberately undercuts it. We have this great, weird, iconic line. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? And Bruce Wayne says, what? And the Joker says, I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it. It's like, oh no, it's just a garbage thing that I say, Bruce. Don't worry about it.
It's just the way that I'm going to tell you that I killed your parents.
Yeah. Martha.
Martha. And then we get I take it back. This is the most iconic line in the movie. Never rub another man's rhubarb.
Never rub another
That's
man's
iconic,
rhubarb.
right? It's iconic. I think
Don't
it's
ever
iconic.
do it. It's going to be our new Excelsior t-shirt. I'll tell you
If
that
it's
much.
two consenting men, I think that you could rub
Nope,
another
you
man's
can't.
rhubarb.
I mean, the Joker set the rule.
You don't
here.
understand. We're talking about women, the possessions of men.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Wait,
talking
women
about
are
how-
rhubarb?
Yep.
Yeah, the rhubarb
You
here
never realized
is the
that?
possession of another man.
You've never noticed how women are rhubarbs?
I've been a rhubarb for 30 years.
You know, rhubarb was my favorite part of Stranger Things.
Hashtag justice for rhubarb's drag race.
Joker takes his leave with a funny leap out the door, leaving flowers for Vicky with a pop-up hand. I kind of like that. It's kind of cool. It's weird.
Gross.
And she faints from it. I don't understand
Great
that.
moment. The pop-up hand with the dead flowers is fantastic. Then she faints because...
unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Because women are weak.
Women are weak.
Right?
Yes.
We can all agree on that. Bruce disappeared, leaving behind the tray with the bullet. Knox shows Vicky what he found out about Bruce. His parents
An hour and a half later.
his parents being murdered in front of him in the alley where he left the roses. Originally in the script, there was the scene where Commissioner Gordon, not Commissioner then, Gordon looked after Bruce the night of the shooting. This was cut, but later used in Batman Begins, because again, same writer.
I actually really like the way that we handle Crime Alley here. I like the way that Bruce goes there without telling anyone. It's this little secret mission of his own to commemorate the anniversary of his parents' death. It works for me, actually. I like it, and then I like the reveal when it comes along later. It is, of course, dulled by repetition because we're so familiar with the story because of only our exposure to Bat Month, I guess, and diving into the deep backstory of Batman. I've never heard the story before, but...
Again, asterisk, sarcasm, asterisk.
We were doing so well, damn it.
The mayor then holds a press conference to postpone the 200-year anniversary parade, but Joker cuts in, once again hacking the TV system.
Oh my!
Because he's in the Matrix, apparently.
Gracious.
Yeah, that's the
I
only
mentioned
thing
earlier
really say
that while watching this movie, Sarah was on the verge of it turning into a dumb movie that she really liked because it was so bad. You were so angry through this sequence.
I was so mad. I was so angry.
To fill in the folks at home, if you haven't seen this movie recently, we have two monitors on the left-hand side of the screen showing the press conference, and two monitors on the right-hand side of the screen into which the Joker pushes his own feed.
Yes.
And then he is addressing the people at home while the people on the left-hand side at the press conference are looking at the other monitor.
Yeah.
And then he later uses his hand physically to push the picture off of the screen next to him and put himself on that screen because he's in the Matrix. That's the only thing I can think of.
He's the architect. The Joker is the architect.
I mean, Tim Burton is well regarded as a magical realist filmmaker. Like, that's basically his thing. That's what he does as well as anyone does it, I would argue. This is not a magical realist film.
No.
You can't just do this.
Also, the thing that really bothers me about this scene, funny enough, isn't that it's when they show the bar and there's policemen sitting at the bar and no one cares the Joker's on TV talking until he mentions money.
Nobody cares until he says he's going to throw out millions of dollars.
Right. Gotham, chillest town in the world. Like, no, what? Like,
this is just Tuesday.
Yeah, the reason why crime is so prevalent in Gotham is because nobody cares.
Well,
it's
apparently
literally an
every
anarchy
cop
state.
is paid off. So.
Okay, here's the thing that I do like about this. This is Batman 89. This is the first big budget Batman movie. And we're already making the argument that Batman is the problem with Gotham. That Batman is the greatest threat to Gotham and its security and sanity. And it's not an unsubstantiated commentary, I think, on Batman in this movie. I like very much. There is depth here in this film, and I'm frustrated that we never quite get to it. But these moments when you can feel the shape of the thematic landscape, like under the veneer of just rampant stupidity and slight misogyny, you know? When you can feel that this movie has more intentionality than it seems to have, that's when this film works best of all for me. And it doesn't hurt, of course, that it's all in Jack Nicholson's performance. Yeah.
The Joker does say that he's calling a truce, that he's willing to put on the parade for the city, and that he's going to be throwing out $2 million to the crowd at the said parade.
$20 million.
$20 million, yeah.
Yeah, because $2 million is not a lot of money in 1989, I guess. I don't know.
Not enough.
I'm throwing out infinite money, is what the Joker said, because we're watching this in 2017 and have no idea how much money was worth in 1989.
That's
Nope. Was it worth less? Who knows?
Scientists can't agree how much money was worth in 1989. We've confirmed with our top moneyologists. There's just no way to know.
We figured out how many licks to the center of the teapot, but we still don't know how much money it's
One
worth.
great mystery of the universe at a time, please.
One.
Our moneyologist is very tired.
And then the Joker challenges Batman to fight him at the parade, calling him the real terror of Gotham. Joker's pale moonlight phrase pushes Bruce to discover that it was him who killed his parents, having said that same phrase to young Bruce in that alley. Then Alfred leads Vicky into the Batcave.
Oh, no. Alfred actually lets Vicky into his heart
Into his heart.
It's to his heart. It's where he leads. It's where he leads
Into his
Vicky.
heart. Yeah, that's it. What the hell, Alfred?
Yep.
What the hell?
I mean, I know we say this phrase a lot, so much in fact that it's kind of lost all meaning. But Alfred, you literally have one job.
One job.
Like one job.
One job, my friend.
It's not let investigative reporters of all
Alfred.
people into the Batcave.
Alfred. It should be said, though, that screenwriter Sam Hamm hates this scene and says he did not write it and that Alfred would never do that.
Of course he wouldn't.
Hey, Sam Hamm, not only do you have a great name, you have a great handle on the character of Alfred Pennyworth.
That's right.
I'm
Good job.
inclined to
Which
agree,
just goes
good
to
sir.
show that there was a lot of back and forth pulling on this film of Control.
Yeah, a lot of studio involvement in this film. We've glossed over it here. We inexplicably haven't talked about it. Hey, you guys, the Joker killed Batman's parents. This is not a typical element of the Joker's backstory. It's not a typical element of Batman's backstory. What do we think about crashing those two plots into each other?
The man who single-handedly created Batman without anyone else's help that he was hiding at all, Bob Kane, said that he wished he would have done this, and that had he thought of the Joker earlier, he would have written Batman's origin to be this way.
Well, okay. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion,
What that
sir.
means is that I hate the idea, and it should never happen.
Yeah, I hate the idea too. I don't like it
Until
all.
someone finds a document that says Bill Finger thought of that idea, I will be against it.
Right.
Even then, the problem with this is that Batman's parents' death has to be something.
It's got to be mundane.
Well, and it can't be reconcilable. He
Right.
can't avenge his
You
parents.
can't get justice for that. Yeah.
Right. Because as soon as you do that, he kind of has to stop being Batman.
Right.
Otherwise, he is just insane at that point.
Yes.
And we're not going to go down that road. We're not going to see this man who has been so corrupted by his desire for vengeance. Though I really do love, I hadn't heard this before, Vinton, you mentioned this earlier in your notes, that there is a school of thought that suggests that Batman attributes this quality to all of the villains that he fights.
Yeah.
Hey, that time Clayface killed my parents. Hey, that time Batmite killed my parents.
That's how he continues to be Batman. He just puts that face of that killer on everybody.
That's genuinely terrifying. That's like psychologically damaging. I'm not sure I like that idea at all.
probably not a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, I really think that Wonder Woman and Superman probably need to put Batman down.
Well, hold
think-
on.
Well, it's
in
not as
that
though
universe,
Superman's-
Wonder Woman needs to put everyone
Yes,
down.
That's
Exactly.
true. Yeah.
Superman's
yeah.
breaking necks and destroying buildings and becoming a terrorist, basically, to
Wonder Woman needs
Metropolis.
to take over. She can just be a benevolent dictator. That's exactly what William Moulton Marston wanted, for goodness sake.
You're right.
There you go.
Marston
And we'll
God, I have
confirm
gotta
when we
go see that movie.
Yeah.
Marston was right.
Yep.
Marston, I'm gonna get a That's our Excelsior T-shirt. Marston was right.
Marston was right.
I want to be careful with saying that.
Fair. Okay. Yes.
Let's see the movie first.
Yeah.
Bruce tries to tell Vicky how he feels about her, but he has to leave to go after Joker.
God.
Which I don't like any of the dialogue there. Her saying, like, I just want to know, are we going to try to love each other? What are we
What are
doing?
we, like,
Nope.
you
This
started
is
this
so
movie
pointless.
so cool, Vicky Vale. What happened?
You've known each other for 2 days. Although the timeline of this movie is a little weird too. I feel as though a lot
Also,
more time has
she
passed.
says she
than is
fell in love
presented.
with him at the first sight. So
Oh my gosh.
That's how
We're
it
just
works.
going by
This
bullshit Disney
hard-edged
rules.
photojournalist.
I
that she
fell in
is.
love with you when I saw your mansion.
Now, okay, yes.
She does specifically talk about the mansion more than him when she meets him. So
I could love a man with millions of dollars in a mansion. Sure, why not?
who couldn't? I could.
Arcane suits of armor. And
Yeah.
a bat cave.
I'm into bat closet. My walk-in closet's bigger than his bat cave.
And it should be noted here that we see that the Batmobile has guns, and he drops a bomb right at the feet of some goons, blowing up the whole chemical plant
Yep.
that he's going after. And this isn't something I ever hear talked about. We hear a lot about how BVS, Batman's killing people, and he's got guns, and he's okay with shooting people. Yeah, he did that 30 years ago, guys.
Yeah,
I
it's-
am become
no-
Batman, destroyer of
Batman.
worlds.
This is the proof, I think, that Tim Burton, at least, didn't read a Batman comic.
Yep.
Doesn't know about this element of Batman's character. And this is true. I mean, it's not just cherry picking. You hear the guns on the Batmobile or the bomb that he drops, the way that he destroys all of Axis chemicals. He's just manhandling people throughout this entire movie. It's,
Right.
yeah. we don't see his primary injunction against killing criminals.
Right. And when the Joker shows up in his helicopter after the plant is destroyed, another point where Michael Keaton couldn't turn his head up to look at the helicopter. So it said he leans his whole body backwards. And this actually became a really heroically iconic motion. And so now it's quite often you see heroes standing with the arch in their back, leaning backwards. And it's all because of the rubber bat suit and how he can look up.
There is actually a poster for Batman Forever in which you can see Batman doing that exact pose. I'm leaning away from the microphone, which you guys is not good podcast etiquette. Like, I get that.
But that way you can hear it.
Away from the...
You can hear the pose now. Oh my. Joker starts the parade with parade balloons, Prince music, and him riding on a float.
Can we just skip all of this? Can we just move past it?
What's not made clear in the film actually is that these phony $1 bills all have his face on them, just like he mentioned to Vicky how he always wanted his face on a $1 bill. They're all phony bills with his face on them. There was a scene in the movie that was cut where they showed that.
Seen this movie 1,000 times, didn't know that.
You can't really see. You could probably see it in the Blu-ray. I didn't. I have the Blu-ray. I watched it on Blu-ray, but I didn't really check. But there's a scene where apparently that was deleted that you actually could really easily see that it was his face on the $1 bills. That's why he has $20 million to throw out, because they're fake bills with his face on them.
Fair. I'm not entirely sure why people are struggling to collect them.
You know what?
I'm not entirely sure.
I guarantee any place in Gotham will go ahead and take those Joker bucks.
Yeah, probably.
Fun time Joker bucks.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what printer he got to do a rush job on 20 million fake dollar bills with his face on them.
It's the local Kinko's. Yeah.
And then the Joker really points out why no one cared watching him on the screen until he mentioned money, because that's all they care about. He says that, who do you trust? Money, money, money. Who do you trust? Me. I'm giving away free money. And where's Batman? At home washing his tights. His rubber, not tights.
Doesn't wear tights, Joker.
Yeah. And then Joker releases Smilex poison from his balloons, saying Sarah's opening line. Yes. Now comes the part where I relieve you, the little people, of your burden of your failed and useless lives. As my plastic surgeon always said, if you gotta go with a smile.
Okay, so as, big superhero set pieces work, this is fine. Joker luring in the people of Gotham City to their, 200th anniversary celebration with his parade. The execution isn't great, but conceptually, I think this works pretty well. And then he's going to gas presumably everyone in the city. This is an act of just horrific magnitude when you think about it. It doesn't quite work in the movie because this is clearly a very small soundstage.
Yes.
And there are like 70 people there, but the idea is present, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It looks like a Broadway play. Like it doesn't.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
But you know what I do love? I do love the Batplane.
Yeah, the Batplane is pretty cool.
The Batplane,
they put a lot of money into that Batplane.
He is just loop-de-looping like crazy. He never cut, he spends so much time up in the air.
Unnecessary.
Yeah,
but it looks real cool, especially for 1989. That is the main scene in the trailer for this movie, which is why people were so hyped about it. I read online that people would pay to go see a movie just to watch this trailer and then leave, and they wouldn't watch the movie.
That is not, you guys, a modern phenomenon. It's been around for at least 30 years at this point. Yeah.
Vicky is taking pictures of this scene, and Knox heroically, it's more like stupidly, starts swinging a bat at the gas mask Joker thugs, holding a flimsy dust mask over his face as if that's going to protect him. That's not how dust masks work.
No,
they're for dust.
The movie just remembered that Knox was our protagonist way back when.
Oh shit!
Hey, remember 1,000 years ago when the movie was about this guy?
People.
Yeah,
he's the Batman.
Hey,
yeah, he's Batman. And as Sarah mentioned, the Batplane swoops in very epically, grabbing all the balloons with a perfectly designed balloon grabbing mechanism and releasing them from higher up in the sky away from the people.
It's this movie's version of shark repellent.
Yeah.
Yep. And it also unnecessarily climbs for a dive bomb, pausing over the moon in a bat signal.
This is where I gave up.
I roll my eyes.
I gave up.
I hate it.
I gave up.
Like,
I get it. I get
this
it.
is designed
I get
for
why
me.
you give up.
And I hate it. It's so dumb.
Yeah, it's real bad. Joker asks Bob for his gun and shoots Bob, having his men clear out the crowd for his confrontation with Batman.
See, but this is the problem with this movie, right? The Batplane is silhouetted against the moon to form the bat symbol, and it's the worst thing I've ever seen in movie history. And then the Joker kills Bob. And that is such a stark and sudden and weird and darkly comic moment that I'm hooked again. It's This movie.
And then Batman unleashes the plane's missiles and machine guns on the Joker. And he's a terrible shot, or at least his aiming system is the worst.
Yep.
Because it literally zeroes in on Joker, takes the time and goes, okay, locked in, and then shoots everywhere but him.
Damn it, Pewter.
And then the Joker, on the other hand, has the longest barreled pistol in the world.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, which he keeps in the front of his pants.
Yeah.
Not how
Which
guns
we
work.
also see later is telescoping, but it's definitely not here.
No,
but
definitely
later he
not,
pushes it in like it's telescoping.
Which they obviously thought of later, because
Yes.
that would be a better joke now. Rather than him
Yes.
pulling the enormous barrel out of his pants, it would have been better if he'd taken out the gun and telescoped the...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But then he takes down the whole bat plane with one shot of his revolver.
It's a shitty bat plane.
I don't think a Smith & Wesson's going to do that, guys.
You know, we're reminded that in this movie, Batman's primary power is the ability to disappear, I guess. That's the only, like, really impressive thing that
Even
we
when
see him
severely
do.
injured.
Yeah. The grapple is, cool. The smoke bombs are pretty terrible, actually.
Yeah, they're
The
bad.
Batmobile can't do anything except shoot through a garage door.
Right.
And the Batplane is taken out by the Joker's pistol. I mean, Batman is not a major threat. He is not like a Justice League level hero in this movie.
Absolutely not, no.
But I find that kind of charming. I like the idea that Batman's kind of a street level, vigilante.
He's still learning the chops.
Yeah.
Joker then takes Vicky hostage to make his escape. And I like when he looks up at the cathedral, he's calling for transportation. He says 5 minutes and looks up, make that 10 minutes. Which it's actually really interesting. This actually does take 10 minutes from the time he says that to the time that it arrives.
Really?
In real
Oh my
video
gosh,
time.
it certainly felt
cool.
like that.
That's unnecessary.
I don't know
but
how
like
they
it.
like
Yeah.
timed that. I don't know if that. Maybe it was just a happy coincidence.
Maybe,
I don't
yeah.
know.
It's good.
That's why we focus on Batman knocking over the church pews drunkenly for so long.
Yeah, oh gosh. And then
Oh,
we
boy, yeah.
watch Michael Keaton in real time walk up
Yes.
every
Well, and
single
he's following breadcrumbs as if there's like
of
multiple ways to go.
stairs.
Yes.
He's like following the breadcrumbs of Vicky's shoes and her jacket as he
And
goes
I
up. Like,
want to
oh, they're
believe-
still going up. Okay.
I want to believe that's not so that Vicky Vale can just be basically naked at the top of the. Yeah, but it is. It is. That's why we're doing it. It's.
I thought it was just because
boy.
Batman's bad with directions.
Yeah. No. Sure.
Was
Also,
it up or down? I forget now. Which way did he go?
I got distracted.
But yes, Batman stumbles up the tower after the two of them, knocking over the pews, being apparently very injured for this time, but not later.
Yep.
As superhero movies often do. Sure. Until the final boss fight, they're super injured. Joker drops one of the bells, destroying the stairs to keep the police from pursuing up because they finally decide, hey, we should probably go see about that parade and that Joker guy finally.
Yeah, maybe we should do something about this.
And Joker has that line, it can be truly said that I have a bat in my belfry. Which, so that's an okay line for a crazy person, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know.
It really seems like they wrote this whole scene just so he could say
Yes,
that.
no, they
If
absolutely
not
did.
this whole movie to get to this. Yeah.
Scene was added in last minute. Cost $10,000 to add in because they originally planned for this movie to end completely differently.
Oh.
And it cost $10,000 when they were already over budget. I don't know why this decision was made. I don't know what the ending was going to be, but it wasn't going to be this. This was
Okay.
a total twist. So, they were like, hey, that's a good joke about a belfry, so let's
That's
just write
definitely
that
worth a
scene.
reshoot. Yeah. Tim Burton wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning in a cold sweat. Guys, I've got it. I've got it.
Belfry. Somehow Joker has a group of goons already up there too, as well. His transport hasn't arrived up there, but the goons are there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Batman takes him out pretty easily while Joker dances with Vicky and jokingly pretends to shoot himself. Bang.
Yes.
And the knife-booted flipping goon is pretty great, I guess, for a different movie, maybe.
Yeah. He's
I
back.
don't
Here
know.
it is. Yeah.
A final goon does almost beat Batman. This guy is pretty tough and seemed like he should have been the main villain of the movie. He almost kills Batman. A lot better than the Joker ever did. But then as Batman sneaks up on Joker, Vicky provides a distraction by pretending to be in love with him.
Gross.
After just seeing Batman stealthily walk across in front of the open doorway there, it's like, not even trying, Batman.
Seriously.
Come on.
He's like Electra in the Defenders, just like sneaking just under the camera to get in position.
This is
Okay.
really unpleasant.
How closely did you watch, though, when she's kissing Joker's sleeve and she stops for a moment moment to get the lint off her lips.
No,
Gross.
that's a nice
Gross.
beat.
Weird.
It's the most human beat that we
I
get
want
from
to
Vicky
know
Vale
if
in
it
the
was
entire
like
movie.
planned or if that was just like she was doing the scene and was like, oh.
That had to have been an ad lib, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was a purposeful ad lib. I figured she just actually got lit on her lips and then moment was like, oh, gross.
I'll take that.
I like it that way.
Yep.
It's a good way to read the scene. Batman does surprise the Joker, which I do like this beat, saying to him, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight, and punching him into the bell.
Into the Bell's very good.
I like it. The two talk as they exchange blows, and Joker says, you made me. You dropped me into that vat of chemicals. And the Batman says, you killed my parents. And he says, what? What are you talking about? I made you. You made me first. Okay.
Not really. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
He didn't drop you into a bat suit chemical thing. I don't know how he made you become Batman.
Bat-X.
I dropped you into a vat of bats. I don't know why we were keeping all those bats in a vat, except that it rhymes.
It is weird to me.
Hi, kids. I'm Dr. Seuss, and this is my Batman origin story.
The Bat. Is it the cat vat? I think not. Is it the bat? It is.
I do not like these bats and bats.
I will not kill them, Sam. I am.
What about that? That bat vat.
The fat bat bat.
It is weird to me that the Joker seems to know what he's talking about when he says this. Maybe those were the only parents he ever killed in front of their child, but shouldn't he at least be surprised that Batman is that kid?
Yeah.
He's just like, okay with it. He's like, oh, I killed your parents when that was a long time ago. I was young. Bat brains. I'm like, what? Be surprised or something.
Yeah.
This is weird.
It's sorely undermotivated, yeah.
I do like that he says, how childish can you get? Because it does read that way. I kind of agree with him. And then I know this is a bad bit. I know this is stupid, but I really like when he puts on the glasses and say, you wouldn't hit a man with glasses.
I like that beat. It's so absurd.
It's so absurd.
It's so
Doesn't
dumb.
that
And
come-
Jack Nicholson gives it this hint of desperation that I really like.
He does.
No,
He does get desperate.
Yeah.
Doesn't that come back in the George Clooney Batman?
I haven't seen that movie in
Perhaps.
the longest
No,
time.
I'm pretty sure it does.
I saw that movie in theaters and not since then.
No, I'm pretty sure that it does. I'm pretty sure that Batman's like, you never hit a man with glasses. You use your fist.
Oh, I see what you did. Little
Yeah.
bits, Batman.
Yeah. That was 20 years ago that I saw that movie.
Shut up.
Everything was a million years ago. It's mostly because we've been in this podcast studio now for about 4.5 hours. Okay.
Batman punches Joker over the side of the cathedral, but Joker grabs both Vicky and Batman, pulling them over the side with him, then lending a hand to Vicky and trying to knock the two off as they hang. Which he brought a fake hand, maybe just for this purpose, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
That's weird.
He has his own utility belt.
Yeah.
With
with fake
just
hands.
fake appendages. Yes. Wait, didn't mean that. Okay. Extreme restraints.
Damn it.
Where you can get your utility belt.
What would be... No.
No.
We can't. 10 minutes of the film has passed as the Joker's ride arrives. As he lifts off on a rope ladder from his helicopter, Batman hooks his leg to a gargoyle, which breaks off from the building and pulls Joker to his weirdly animated death.
Yes. Which would be bad enough were it not for the fact that 5.5 minutes before this, Batman does say, I'm going to kill you. Hey, Joker, FYI, I am going to murder you now.
I just want you to know.
Yes.
I'm going to kill you. There are two Victor Hugo references here because the final scene was inspired by The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Joker was inspired by The Man Who Laughs.
Yes, excellent.
Batman and Vicky slip, but he catches her and himself with a grappling hook and presumably tears his arm off his
Like,
torso.
breaks their
Okay,
necks.
all right.
Like,
Look, if we are going to pick holes in Batman grapple physics, this movie isn't even the
To be
worst
fair, though,
example
he
that we
could
can go to.
swing or something.
Yes.
Just like a straight
Something,
catch.
anything, just a sudden
Maybe
stop.
a bungee? I
Yeah.
don't know. But his
back
arm,
bungee.
like that
Then they
super
bounce
strong.
upward and are silhouetted against the moon. Just the two of them.
And a kiss.
Doing like little
his cape, her dress forms the bat signal
it's so
again.
perfect.
There it is. But yeah, supposedly the rubber bat suit is the only thing keeping his arm connected to his torso.
I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've got no choice, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we get the amazing effects here on this gruesome death of a man who's fallen from a cathedral and smashed in the concrete to leave a body-shaped mark.
Yes.
Except we don't. He barely has any blood on him or anything.
Yeah.
As he lays like 400 stories down,
Yeah,
leaving a mark in the concrete, but his body's fine.
The Joker needs to be
Gotham,
jelly.
though. Softest concrete in the world, Gotham.
Softest, yeah. That explains a lot about Batman. But he's got that recorded laugh repeating, which is a really nice beat. That's another one of those iconic things I always remember about this film is, but I always thought they pulled the device up. They just pull a bag out of his pocket and stare at it, and then it changes scene.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reference to something. That is a bag of laughs or something. That is like an old novelty
see,
thing.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Okay. See, I thought it was just like some recording device.
Wait. They would just sell you like a small velvet bag with a little box that laughed in it?
Yeah, when you shook it, it would laugh. Yeah.
I hate that.
Afterward, Harvey Dent gives a press conference unveiling that Batman...
I forgot he was in this movie.
And he's so good.
He is. He's very good.
Right. Billy D. Williams, thanks so much.
So did the people who cast the next movie. They forgot he was in this movie too.
Womp womp.
Unveiling that Batman has given them a signal to the police so that they can use if they ever need to call him. Knox is surprised that Vicky isn't covering the event and that she seems to have given up on trying to find out more about Batman. As she walks away, she is greeted by Alfred, who's there to escort her to Wayne Manor. Originally, Alexander Knox was supposed to be killed. I think maybe I already mentioned this, but they brought him back here in this final scene because they just liked the actor so much and what he did with the character.
Yeah, it's good.
And we get this line from Alfred. Master Wayne told me to tell you he's going to be a little late because he's posing next to his logo, waiting for the camera to pan up to get a good closing shot.
And that's Batman from 1989, you guys. Thank you for joining us for this cerebral and disciplined discussion of this fine motion picture. Sarah, what did you make of Batman 1989?
I hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I enjoyed this conversation. Obviously, I had a ton of fun doing this recording. It's not one of my favorites. I mean, honestly, I know that like we rag on like the late like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but like I really want to rewatch those. I think that I would enjoy them despite their badness.
There are things to enjoy about all of this era of Batman. Batman Returns, as we've said before, is pretty solid. Batman
I bet
Forever.
that I would like Batman Returns like quite a lot. Yeah,
we've discussed, Vinton and I, about the Jim Carrey performance in Batman Forever, which I think is outstanding. I think both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman do a good job in Batman and Robin.
I don't know if I can say that. We'll see. I'll need to rewatch it, but
they are not a good job. They are so dumb and play into the camp comedy aspect that it feels like 66.
I think that Forever and Batman and Robin would be really good movies for us to one day do commentary tracks too.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Maybe not this beat by beat breakdown. Hey, listeners at home, get in touch. Let us know what you would like us to discuss on Bat Month 2018, because we're definitely not allowed to talk about Batman between now and then. Speaking of which, next week we are going to change things up a little bit and we're going to look at the Bat family.
Yay!
You guys, we're going to discuss Batgirl Volume 1, Batgirl of Burnside from 2015, written by Cameron Stewart with art by Brendan Fletcher. This is just a really exciting Batgirl comic. The art in this book is fantastic. The costume redesign was so strong. This is a very beloved book, and it's going to give us an opportunity to do, well, basically what we've done for the last 3 weeks, which is talk about Batman without really talking about Batman. Yeah! I'm very into this idea. Have either of you read this book before?
I have not. I own it. I read a little bit of it, but then got distracted by other things, so I'm very excited to get into this.
This has been on the top of my to-read list for a long time. I didn't even own it, but I knew I should read it. I had friends that read it and told me I should read it, and I was really wanting to, and I actually just finally bought it not too long ago. I just haven't sat down to read it yet.
Me too. Excellent. So we're going to all read Batgirl of Burnside for the first time and talk about it next week on Excelsior.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Finally, man, this episode took some doing, but we did it, and I'm glad, and I'm happy. I'm happy you're both here with me. I'm happy that we did this together. If you guys enjoy this show, guys, okay, if you are a supporter on Patreon, you get gag reels from every episode of Excelsior. We smash all those together into these amazing gag reels. Alistair puts those together for us. They are phenomenal, and I think that the bits from this episode are some of the funniest bits we've ever done.
I agree.
So if you're not already supporting us, I would highly recommend that you do so just so that you can get a hold of these gag reels. They are my absolute favorite thing. You can do that by heading over to patreon.com/Common Room Radio, where you can kick us $1 a month or whatever you can afford. And that helps us to continue producing this show. And again, the gag reels alone are totally worth it. It's amazing. You can chat with us on Twitter about this show, about other episodes, about other comics, about stuff that you want us to talk about or stuff that you are reading and enjoying. You can find us collectively at Excelsior Cast. You can find me at Elsa Grab the Salt.
I'm at Paper Bullets.
And I'm at Flesh Eater. You can also hear more of me from the Read Brave Comics podcast.
which is fantastic,
It's so good.
increasingly
Yes.
fantastic,
Yes.
in fact. That
Yes,
show
yes,
is
yes.
so good. Go listen to Vince's wrap-up of everything that came out of New York Comic Con this last
Yeah.
week. It was really good. Short show with your dulcet tones. An absolute pleasure
I
to
love
listen
your
to.
notes. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Once again, from Common Room Radio, I'm Sarah Kate Pazant.
I'm Alistair Stevens.
And I love that Joker.
Excelsior!